Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk podcast. This is a special one. This is our 5th anniversary of being a digital only. Can you imagine if we released our episodes on vinyl or cassette?
No.
What episode would be our vinyl episode?
Oh, that's a good question.
What
did you say 5th anniversary without saying 5-year anniversary?
5-year anniversary?
It's our 5th anniversary of having John open his mouth.
Yeah, but it is a 5-year anniversary and 5th anniversary are the same.
Is it really? Well, you could have the 5th anniversary of the 5th time we talked about.
So would that make it the 6th year? If it's the 5th anniversary of the first time?
Birthdays. Yeah.
Well, we're going into our 6th year. We've completed 5 years.
Yeah,
5 years
Correct.
done.
Correct.
5 years
5 years
in the
over.
book.
Put it in the can. It's done. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we've been at this podcast for 5 years.
Can't you tell?
Yeah. Our first episode was
You shut your whore mouth!
December 12th, 2017. Is that correct?
Correct. We were little babies.
Dude, that was
Little babies. Oh, boy.
Just does.
that was before the pandemic. That barely feels like a real thing anymore.
Pre-pandemic, that's true.
I remember it. That was back in a time when I wasn't a fan of horror movies.
Yeah.
Wow. How things have changed. Well,
I don't know. After today's episode, I may go back to not liking them.
Well, I do want to just take a moment and thank everybody that's stuck with us for this long, or if you're just joining us for the first time. Welcome, listeners. Your feedback and everything help us continue to push this thing along. I also want to thank all the guests we've had over the years. Leroy, James, Gray,
Alex,
Emma.
Yeah, Emma's been on here. Emma's coming back, right?
Emma will be back for Christmas episode. Yeah, you said Matt, right?
Matt, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
I want to make sure we don't miss anybody. Joyce.
Joyce.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She was our resident paranormal activity expert.
Right.
So thanks everybody who's come in and taken the time. Oh, Jordan and Kim.
Jordan and Kim.
Oh,
right.
duh.
Can't forget them. Holy crap.
Damn.
Speaking of I wanted to ask you guys, what were some of your favorite moments of the podcast? And clearly the times that we spent collaborating with Jordan and his class was great.
Aces.
Doing the D&D style campaign that they wrote for us, that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. That was fun.
Had a good time with that.
I enjoyed being on their podcast where I got to talk about Coraline.
Right.
Arguably a better movie than most of the movies we do.
I talked about Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Werewolf.
Nice.
And just so you know, that podcast is called
Grown Men Watching Kid Shit.
Grown Men Who Watch Kids
Also,
Shit.
Get At Me. You guys have talked about Wendell and Wild. You've talked about all these stop motion animation movies, and you have not called me up. What the hell?
Garrett wants to talk about animation. All right. Maybe we get to find a horror movie like Mad God and it'll...
Oh, speaking of which,
Wet the
the
whistle.
Terminus just came out. You guys should check that out. It's like a little 13-minute short.
Okay,
It's
I'll
pretty
put it
rad.
on the list. Another one of my favorite moments is when we actually went and stayed at the gas station for the 40th anniversary of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That hot cabin in the back.
You mean that weekend I almost died?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I think I was hungover as fuck. You were sick as shit.
Oh, I was like hospital dehydrated. Like I should
Yeah.
not have left the house.
I was fine. I felt perfect. Aces.
We stopped off at the actual Sawyer home and had a breakfast brunch. I had a very delicious chicken fried steak and Bloody Mary.
Yeah, that was good. Now they sold that house, so hopefully they will keep maintaining what they do.
The new owners have said they very much want to like make it back into the chainsaw novelty that it is. Like they really are like going to lean heavily into that.
I hope they still make the food though.
Yeah, the food was
Like the
good.
food
No
was
complaints
good,
on the
man.
food. Yeah.
But what about you guys? What were some of your favorite moments of the podcast?
Well, I enjoyed doing the Death Spa episode where we really got into the intricacies of lightning and lightning-based powers.
It's important. Yeah, we learned a lot that episode.
Yes, I enjoyed when Joyce joined us and we got to talk about paranormal activity so I could get my Mika disgust off my chest.
A hatred that will never die.
Never. But you know what? Now it's recorded, so I don't have to keep spewing it. I could just send people to the episode.
Or you just replay it back for your therapy.
Yes. What? Oh man, there's just like we did so many great ones. You've touched on a lot of them. I mean, I guess starting the podcast, that was a fun experience, and learning how to do this all throughout those first episodes. I haven't listened to them in a long time. I don't know if I ever want to.
Just starting this thing, sitting down and doing a thing can be so daunting. You know what I mean? The fact that we actually did it and we've still kept up with it this long.
Yeah. So all that was great.
I super enjoyed talking about Short Circuit. So when we got to bring up a lot of Short Circuit news along with Chopping Mall,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, compare and contrast the two. They're basically the same thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love introducing John to shitty 80s horror movies like Death Spa and Chopping Mall and Near Dark and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah,
that's
I
always
enjoyed
fun
that
for
too.
me.
Wouldn't stuff you probably wouldn't have watched naturally.
Society.
The Burning.
Yeah. all those-
Howling
Society.
2.
Fuck. Howling 2. Yes. But man, Society, that one
Yeah.
stuck with me.
Yeah.
Same.
We haven't done this in over 150 episodes, but I really enjoyed doing the Amazon Prime roulette. Maybe some day we'll do
we
that
should.
again.
Let's book it for next year, 2023, the year of the roulette.
That was rough. That was a rough one.
Pick a random thing on Amazon and watch it, and let's talk about it.
That was fun, but yeah, rough.
I've had fun doing the episode images.
yeah.
We sometimes come up with some really fun ideas, like within literally seconds before we have to do them. Sometimes we have like really funny ideas in the podcast, and we get to make those like visual realities. That's always fun.
Yeah, and then we can find images that, like, for instance, I took a picture of a cow a long time ago, and I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. And then we did Slaughter High, and I was like, how about a cow in a graduation cap?
Bam.
Genius.
Boom. Pony pool. I mean, come on, you
Right.
guys.
If you don't see our images, listeners, go to our website. They're all there. You can check them out. We do put some effort into that, and I thank Garrett for keeping up with those over.
We're getting
some-
sued eventually. That's all I know.
They're arguably the best part of the podcast. So if you're not looking at them, you're missing a lot.
the visual part of the podcast. Yes.
Shout out to episode 66, our clown episode, where I just literally took a picture from Shakes the Clown and put that up as the image. No extra work, no filters, no buffer, just a title and an image.
Sometimes you just got to get it done. You know what I mean?
I'd like to do some more like live theater watchings where we actually go together and not like
It's been a while,
have
yeah.
Mark go like, I'm going with these people, and John be like, I'm going to stay at home because I'm a shut-in.
It's true.
So you want to get up at
And
11?
Garrett be like, it's 12 a.m. Let's go watch a movie, you guys.
Well, I was going to say, it could be 11 o'clock in the morning. We go watch Suspiria again.
Oh, God.
After a night
That
of
was
drinking.
Right. That was like 11 a.m. God, I remember that. Oof. Anyway, that was a nice little trip down memory lane. Hey, y'all. Thanks for sticking through that nonsense. Thanks for sticking through 160 plus episodes.
172 was this one.
And we have a small
172.
request. We have a small request, and this is bullshit, and I hate it, and I hate having to ask for it, but the likes, the ratings, the shares, that stuff is very important. Not so much in the fact that, we base what we do off, like how popular we are, but it really does help us get in the algorithm, which will allow us to, get more access to stuff, bring you guys more content, eventually be able to maybe block all of our content behind a paywall and have you pay to hear the rest of our episodes. And I'm just kidding.
No, we're
We'd
never going to do that.
No, just, really like, share, whatever you can do to kind of get the word out there.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. We make no money on this. In fact, we've been in the red for quite some time.
About 5 years.
Since its inception. But we enjoy doing it. And
Yeah.
like I said, we love hearing from you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in when you do. Spread the word. Help us reach more people.
Here's to 5 more years.
Cheers.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
What's the 5-year anniversary gift?
Wood.
Wood?
Is it really?
I just made that up.
Oh,
Could be. Could be paper. I know that's one of them. How pissed would my wife be if I gave her paper? Here's some printing paper.
Here's
Say
a
5.
Here's a pink slip. We're
this
done.
year, give her paper. Silver and gold. I don't know why I became a leprechaun when I said that, but
Holy shit, Mark. You were right. The traditional symbol is wood.
Oh,
what,
man.
for 5 years is wood?
Traditional symbol, wood, symbolizes the strength of your marriage bond. Wood is durable and long-lasting, indicating a solidified relationship. The contemporary gift is silverware, so spoons.
Okay.
Wooden spoons.
Oh, combine them.
There you go.
That's why you get the big bucks,
the
Garrett.
old and the new.
Well, let's get these spoons out of our mouths and get started with smile.
Spoons out of our mouth. Okay.
Isn't that what they say?
That sure. It's what they say now.
We're talking about Smile from 2022. That came out this year.
Hence 2022.
Mm-hmm.
This one was directed by Parker Finn. It was written by Parker Finn, and it was based on a short film.
By Parker Finn?
You got it.
Oh,
Whoa.
snap.
That one was called Laura Hasn't Slept.
Okay, I like that title better than Smile.
You do?
I do.
Smile's a little, you don't know what you're getting. Could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, for marketing and for like big budget movies, Smile works better, but I like Laura Hasn't Slept.
But sleeping isn't really a part of this movie.
They don't touch on it at all, do
No.
they?
She
She
was able
actually
to-
sleeps quite often.
Yeah.
She doesn't. She's like got like crazy no
No,
sleep.
she's constantly asleep having dreams
Yeah, it's true. Nightmares, but
Yes.
she's still asleep.
at her desk,
You
in
don't
her
sleep
bed.
well through nightmares.
Laura hasn't slept well.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
should be what it's called. I think it's really fantastic that Parker Finn, who had only done 2 short films, turned around and got to do an adaptation of his short film, and it made $215 million.
I agree.
This is his first large movie, and I think that never happens?
I mean, I think we see that kind of thing happen, but not quite as frequently.
It's
but
rare and good for him. I agree. He did a great job.
Yeah, congrats, dude.
This was originally supposed to be a Paramount Plus streaming only movie, and then it tested so well they threw it in the theaters, and I think that was a smart choice.
See, this
Yeah.
is, but that sucks, man. Now we're at the mercy of like test audiences, like letting us know what we get big picture, like literally determining the success. Like, do you send your movie to the graveyard out the advance or?
Oh yes, the digital subscription is a hellscape, and I hate where we are at.
We called that shit 5 years ago.
We've been saying it ever since,
It's true.
but that's where we are now. But this movie was only shot on 17 million,
Whoa.
so it is made bank.
17 minutes. Okay, a lot of effects towards the end there. Okay, I was like, where did all that money go?
Yeah, plus isn't this is Kevin Bacon's daughter, right? So,
Is it really?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her name is something Bacon, so maybe it is Kevin Bacon's
So
daughter.
she-
Oh,
she's
I have it right here. Sozy Bacon.
Yeah, she's getting Kevin Bacon's daughter money. So
You know what? I don't want to hear anyone say that nepotism isn't alive and well in Hollywood.
It still happens.
yeah, but you know what? She did a great job.
She
in
did a
this film,
fantastic
so-
job, but still.
Well, I really did not expect to like this one as much as I did, and I mentioned it on a previous episode. But this one, the trailer did nothing for me.
The first trailer, there was two trailers for this movie, and the first one was incoherent nonsense.
It just looked silly. It didn't look like it was going to have any meat to it. It looked like one of those, big studio, just shit out a horror movie because we got to hit a quota style type film.
Like it was gonna go straight to streaming.
Right. That's what it looked like. But no, I was very surprised by it. It also had that Major League Baseball viral marketing campaign where they bought out the seats behind the batter's box, and it just had people creepily smiling through
That was
the
pretty good.
whole game. So
Effective viral marketing, yeah.
I think that picked up a lot of traction, and I wonder if this one had a lot of word of mouth because 217 million for a brand new IP, that's really, really good.
I think this movie also lends itself well to, I'm not a horror fan. Oh, go watch this. Don't worry, it's not that scary. Or, go check this out. It's not super gory. It's not Terrifier 2. It's like movies in 2022 lean one of two ways. Really extreme or, this way.
Well, this one kind of aligns itself to The Ring. It follows. It's more of like a psychological thriller horror type movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is punctuated by scenes of pretty gross horror.
Yes, definitely.
But there are long stretches where there's
think.
nothing. I mean, when the very first scene where that lady is like cutting her fucking face off,
yeah.
that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it definitely earns that rating.
Yeah.
But comparatively to like It Follows, I think it's got more gore.
Yeah, big time. It follows, I don't think it's any gore.
Right. It's just got sad children
Yeah, and
staring
sad-
at each other.
Yeah.
And sexual frustration.
And reading the idiot on like a powder thing.
Palm Pilot.
Yeah. It's
Powder thing.
yeah, those, I don't know what they're called.
Compact?
Compact, thank you.
There you go.
You're right. Yeah, it looked like a shell.
Yeah.
Okay, I see where you went
Captain,
with that.
beam me up.
Okay, well, this one stars Sozy Bacon, as not covered just moments ago, as Rose Cotter, Kyle Gallner as Joel, Jesse T. Usher as Trevor. You'll remember him from Boys.
He's the A-Train.
The A-Train from The Boys. Robin Welgert as Dr. Madeline Northcott. Caitlin Stacey as Laura Weaver. Cal Penn, fresh back from the White Castle,
Yeah.
as Dr. Morgan Desai.
Okay. Stop right there with Cal Penn. Because I was like, this dude looks familiar, and I like this guy,
Yeah.
and I could not remember what he was from. And then, I looked him up, and he was from Harold and Kumar.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I never watched those movies because I don't really care for those.
You never even saw the first one?
No,
What?
I don't care for those movies. I'm not.
First one's good.
I'm not
Yeah.
a big ooh weed kind of movie. Like it doesn't really do much for me. But
Yeah, but what about Ooh Burgers kind of movie?
Yeah.
ooh burgers.
That's all about, they just want that dang burger. That's not about the smoking of the
Dude,
weed.
where's my car? Harold, the
Oh,
whole
this is
get
way better.
stoned and
Way
try to
better.
have an adventure
Listen.
doesn't really do much for me.
Harold and Kumar had the best
let me get through my thing real
scene
quick.
of getting rid of cell phones, though. He walked like 5 feet away. He was like, I forgot my cell phone. He goes, I've come too far. And that was it. Never had to worry about it again.
Way to write that in, fellas. But then I found out Cal Penn was on the Obama administration. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as assistant associate director.
Oh, was he?
Holy shit,
Yeah, he was.
He played he was in that one show with,
House. He was in House.
and the Lost Boys. Who's the main guy? Blank.
24.
John Blank. Actor
Kiefer
name.
Sutherland.
He was in that Kiefer Sutherland show where he was like the backup president.
24.
No.
No, this was something else.
I know it
Wait,
is
Kiefer
something
Sutherland did another thing where he's a
Yeah.
backup president.
Yeah.
President.
It's called like the the backup plan or
in
something.
the bunker or some
the
shit
bunker.
like that.
Oh, wow, okay.
No, designated survivor.
Yes, I
What
think
the shit? Okay.
I believe Cal Penn was also a political advisor in
Yeah.
that show.
Well,
So,
he also is like
interesting.
really into politics and stuff. So anyway, it was funny because I found that out during the watch. I was like, wow, this dude's kind of all over the place, and that's awesome.
I'm glad he's back into acting and he's finally become a doctor.
Yeah, congratulations on your degree.
Yeah.
Let's finish the cast list. 2 more to go.
I thought we did.
There's more?
Rob Morgan as Robert Talley. He's the guy in the jail.
Oh, yeah, he did good.
Jillian Zinzer as Holly. That's the sister. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, this one's sitting at a 79% with the critics out of 179 reviews, 77% with the audience out
Wow.
of 2,500 plus.
Tight spread. I like that.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I would have thought the audience would have been lower.
I was guessing higher. I would have guessed like 85 with the audience.
I would have thought the horror community would have been like, eh.
If we're basing this just on how we felt after we watched the movie, then I too would have said 79 to 80%.
I mean,
I would have thought more people agree with me.
It's 66% on this podcast, so
Yeah, there you go. Well, here's what the plot synopsis for Smile is. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. As an overwhelming terror begins taking over her life, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality.
Okay, her name was Cotter, and every time someone said her name in the movie, I was like, oh my God, Mr. Cotter, oh my God.
welcome back.
Man, it would have been cool if John Travolta showed up for 2 seconds.
Also, it would have been cool if her husband was actually Samuel, or her fiance was Samuel Jackson.
If anyone in our podcast actually got that reference, I'd be really
The Welcome
impressed.
Back Cotter reference?
Yes,
okay.
because we are old.
There's got to be
and-
at least like 5 plus 50 people out there who
Yeah.
are like,
I'm not
these
gonna
guys
lie.
get it.
I'm surprised you got that reference.
I'll tell you what.
I barely get that reference.
What was it? No, not Nick at Night. What's the TV?
TV Land.
TV Land. That's where I learned about all this shit.
Okay, well, good for you. All right, well, fellas, I've already kind of got a sense of where we're sitting here on our feelings about Smile, but why don't you elaborate?
All right.
Why don't we talk about how this movie is an hour and 50 minutes long?
Yeah, but it doesn't. You know,
Oh, it
I'm the
felt
first
like it.
one to complain. I didn't
paused
feel
it
it.
5 times and was like, how much more of this is going? Now, I enjoyed this movie. I like this movie. This movie is a blatant ripoff of It Follows in its own sense, but I like it better than It Follows. But damn, this movie was way too long.
I know it is an hour and 50 something minutes because I looked it up. But I think I kind of feel I'm falling on the side of the fence with John here.
Okay.
Like I didn't feel it. And the reason I don't feel it is because I was with the character wanting to figure this shit out as she kind of sussed it out. So it was kind of like a mystery. We're solving a case here. You know what I mean? So it didn't quite get there. On the second watch, I was like, okay, this scene's a little pointless now that I know what's happening, right? You know, like on a second viewing, I can feel it a little bit more.
I think we're gonna do a lot of comparisons to It Follows in this episode, so I don't want to like lean too heavy on that. But unlike It Follows, I did actually care about these characters in this movie. Like I was invested. I was like, yo, this is fucked up. You know, like let's get this sorted. When she started losing sleep and started getting the bags under her eyes and stuff like that, I was like, I was there. But man, I know they lean heavily into certain things visually, but they drag so much. Like you can only do a thing so many times before it becomes kind of pointless. I mean, John, you were talking about like how many like pointless jump scares there were.
Yeah, I mean, that's really my only complaint for this movie. So I don't think it felt too long. I think it did a good job of keeping suspense very high and building that dread, and I loved the soundtrack. But man, they were like, what about jump scares? How about we do them all the time? And like, I don't know, maybe a third of the way through, I was like, I am so over these fucking jump scares.
None of them made me startled, really.
No.
Oh, I jumped 3 times.
Well, they
There's
telegraph
definitely a
them.
few that like I was in for, but again, like to John's point, there's so many of them at
Yeah.
points where like they're clearly just like, oh, we know this is a boring scene here. You know, it's like, all right, that doesn't really make a lot of sense right now, but okay, cool.
The only one that got me is when she was editing her podcast and then yelled at her name.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys notice how she turns the volume up all the way, and then basically it cuts to her face, and she's like, I still can't hear it, and goes boop, 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 3 more times, and I was like, this ain't Spinal Tap. You can't turn that shit to 11.
Don't you know if you hold Option Shift and then volume, it'll give you 3 bonus bips?
Does it really?
No.
Oh, I was going to feel so stupid if I didn't know this.
That's emergency volume. You already got to unlock that.
Again, that was a minor thing, but like that's the kind of stuff that I had a problem with this movie is like just kind of like little things like that. It's like, okay, that's dumb.
I do. You touched on a little bit, John, but I definitely want to call out that this movie has fantastic sound design.
Oh, amazing.
I loved it.
Pro, it is super eerie and creepy a la Silent Hill. Con, it does that stupid fucking thing that any sound editor who ever does this needs to have their fucking hands chopped off. Do not make your sound crackle like my speakers have been blown out. I hate that shit. I thought our TV was fucked up because it would go like it would be like a boom and it'd be like when your speakers are blown out and shit like that. And I was like, did we blow out our speakers? Fuck, when did this happen? You know, maybe it was God of War or something like that. No, went and tested other audio, works just fine. Kind of find out the movie did that on purpose in their sound to kind of basically add an uneasy kind of like, you know, because when you do that, you're like, oh, you get a little like, your immediate reaction is kind of like this, oh, wait a minute. But fuck that. I hate that shit. It always makes me think that my speakers are fucked up.
I did not have that problem. I just assumed it was the movie, but I guess that's a fair concern.
Well, sound designers, you've been warned lest you lose a hand for your fucking crackles.
Again, you can have your deep booming, you know, kind of like, you know, weird sounding stuff. Just don't make it sound like a blown speaker. Use another. There's so many sounds in the world.
There's so many.
Yes, the soundtrack was really, I actually had that down. Soundtrack was really good. The cinematography in this, I think we need to like seriously talk about this because there's more than just like, oh, it had good cinematography. Well, somebody bought a drone. We know that much because there's like 900 drone shots in this.
I love them.
Yeah.
Thought they did a great job.
Fantastic every single time. That's when they do the inverted drone thing. I was loving this. Again, there is a ton of drone shots in this. But
Didn't notice it. I did not notice that.
Did you notice the framing of almost every scene?
I noticed that it was well shot. I liked the lighting. Yeah, I guess the composition was fine.
So the composition I feel is very, I mean, I may be wrong about this, but get at me, Hollywood. But like, I feel like it was very deliberate because if you notice, almost every shot of this movie is filmed in like a 1/3 kind of like empty to negative positive space. Like our characters are either, there's always space around them in the background. Some of it's just out of focus. Like every car shot.
Yeah.
We didn't get any like standard like medium shots or close-ups. We got a lot of like, you know, kind of medium shots with them just a little bit off. You could see out the window behind them. You could see in the house behind them. She's in the office. You know, she's over to the right or the left. And then you've got the entire office just a little bit out of focus behind her. Like you are left with so much negative space where something could be. Even when like, you know, shit starts going like crazy tits up. When she's like freaking out and stuff like that, the way the camera is, she's never center. She's never center. Like other characters get center. Cal Penn's character, all of them, like, you know, when they're not like before, like, you know, they could be the demon or whatever. They're very framed up. They're very focused. But like once she starts having this stuff, there's a lot of negative space. There's a lot of like what could be behind her, what could be coming up to her, what could be happening, you know, behind this person like that she's talking to. Like, I don't know. If that was deliberate, then fucking kudos to that cinematographer.
It was very visually appealing.
Yes, because it made you unnerved. You couldn't focus on the character because you were almost as much focused on what wasn't there as you were with what was going on. And that was really effective. I really like that.
But you're right. Yeah, it leads your eye to wonder what's going to pop out of this corner, what's going to pop out of this darkened hallway. Speaking of which, Garrett, there was plenty of open doors with blackness.
Oh, fuck that. Yes. Okay, so I got the goosebumps, as we can see.
Faces just in them.
So this movie had some very, very effective jump scares and a lot of really good unnerving visuals. And combine that with the soundtrack, which had a lot of weird sounds, which you don't normally hear in a soundtrack, specifically for that. You know, it'd be like kind of your normal Silent Hill type soundtrack. And then you get like a or something like that. I don't know if that picked up on the mic, but like a really random noise that it would just kind of throw you off. Like you never were able to feel comfortable once things started going south for her. Just the way the cinematography and the audio, which I thought was super effective and rad.
Yeah, not traditional soundtrack at all. You're not putting this on the vinyl,
No.
you know, the turntable to listen to. It's a lot of like ambient noises, repeated sounds to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you keep that through the entire movie.
It works really well within the film, but I totally agree with you. This is not like, you're not going to pull this one up and just listen to it while you're driving. Or maybe you do because you're like that, but I don't think it was designed for that.
So the idea of this is that, like I said, in comparison to things like The Ring, where you watch a videotape, you have 7 days to pass it along or die. It follows same things. You go have sex with somebody else. The sexually transmitted ghost disease will then follow that person instead.
Yeah.
Here we have a similar situation.
The SDT, sexual demon transmission.
Yeah, that
Boom,
one.
nailed it.
Perfect.
Well done.
In Smile, what is happening is that if you witness a brutal suicide, then you are the next in
Or a
line.
murder.
But it's not just any suicide. It's got to be one in this chain.
Well, correct, right?
Yeah.
It's a chain of suicides, and they have to be done brutally. I think is part
Yes,
of the key.
that's the key. Yeah.
Well, you have
Trauma.
to cause trauma. Yes, that's how this thing transmits. Trauma is the gateway that lets it into the next person. So,
Though
yeah.
arguably any suicide that happens in front of you is going to cause trauma. So I don't know that gore is necessarily a requirement, to be honest.
And if you just close one eye, you can tell that this movie is just thematically about trauma and
Yeah.
what people go through to try to get over it. It rules their lives. They can often infect other people based on their traumatic experience as well. And that's all this movie is talking about, really.
I thought that was the your actions can traumatize people for life and they can permanently be affected. You know, like I
Right.
thought that was like kind of the theme. But at the end, they kind of cheap it out. Like it seemed less like once they discovered what it was, and then it's just kind of like she's like, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and it was like, okay, like I don't know. I
But-
felt like the theme was kind of cheapened at the end.
What do you guys think of the creepy smile that they do once they are fully possessed and about to commit suicide?
In the words of Antoine, hated it.
Really? I thought the first gal did a fantastic job.
Excellent.
Oh, everyone who smiles does a great job of smiling creepy. I'll give them that credit. Like, I'm not saying that like they did not do a good job. And as the crux, the visual crux of like what indicates it's been infected, I thought it was a cool little like idea. I didn't personally find it unsettling or creepy at all. So it was wasted on me. So I'm not saying it wasn't a good tactic or a good choice for the film. I'm just saying for me, it did nothing.
Okay. Ineffective for Garrett.
Loved it. I was effective for me. I found it very creepy and unsettling. If you just walk into a room and someone's hitting you with that big ass Joker smile, yeah, like that, I would be like, you know what? I don't need to be here. I got somewhere else I got to be.
Lightness and happiness, I'm out.
No, that is not a happy smile.
No, the psychology part of this thing had me really thinking about how people go through their day to day and put on the fake smile when underneath they are not doing
Smiling
Yeah.
faces.
Well, there's even that-
smiling
But the-
faces sometimes lie.
exactly.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah. Well, there's even that scene where Rose is practicing her smile.
Right. No, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Like she just went through a bunch of traumatic shit, and he's got to go to a birthday party and pretend nothing's wrong. You know.
She does the actor hand thing where the hand goes up, she's smiling. Hand goes down, she's frowning. Hand goes up, she's smiling.
That's literally the face I put on every time my wife wants to get Subway instead of Quiznos. I got to fake the smile. Okay, I guess so.
Boom! Bombs dropped on the GraveTalk
Yeah.
podcast.
Fuck Subway. All my
Tune in
homies hate
tune in
Subway.
next episode where Mark will be divorced and eating sandwiches by himself.
No, I'm just eating at Arby's. Well, how does this one kick off?
With a death. A dead lady.
We're flashing back to young Rose finding her mother dead on the bed.
Okay, sorry, you said Rose, and I just got triggered because not since fucking Titanic have I had to hear someone yell fucking Rose for 90 minutes. Oh my God, movies never name a character Rose ever again.
Garrett, paint me like one of your French women.
Of course. Anytime, Mark.
The camera pans out and we see that a bunch of pills and cigarette butts are strewn this messy bedroom.
Where'd she get all those pills?
Good question.
That was like a pile of pills. Also, another thing that totally gets me disgusted, piles of cigarettes. Like there was so many piles of cigarettes. I was like, ugh.
It's pretty realistic. And I
Yeah.
think she got the pills. I mean, you can imagine that she was probably doctor shopping. And I mean, there's the whole opioid
There
epidemic.
was
So
90 pill bottles in this room. I'm like, yo, girl, where'd you get that hookup?
yeah, that's,
Doctors in New Jersey, evidently.
they just scripted them out.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah.
The scene ends with a phone ringing, and we are awakened to present day. Rose is a therapist in a psychiatric ward at a hospital.
And she was like sleeping at her desk.
Yeah, she's been working long hours, 80-hour weeks for months at this point, we find out. She's really...
Wait, 80-hour weeks?
Yeah, that's what Dr. Kumar says.
Yeah. He's like, you haven't been here since the late shift, have you? And Rose is like, ha ha.
She puts on a fake smile?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, tears of a clown.
I don't know if that applies here, but okay.
We're introduced to one of her patients, Carl, who's just sitting there and he's muttering to himself, "You're going to die. I'm going to die. We're going to die. We're all going to die." And I was like,
Dude,
man,
Carl,
we should put a fucking hip hop beat to this.
He's going to die. She's going to die. Mom's going to die. I'm going to die. Everybody dies. He's going to die. She's going to die. I'm going to die. Everybody dies. Everybody dies.
This man is clearly disturbed.
Yes.
They say that he's been in and out of the facility, mostly harmless, but he's obviously a very manic, depressed fellow.
After going through the whole Walking Dead situation, you could see why he would think, well, I'm going to die, you're going to die.
Is that Carl from Walking Dead's origin story?
Exactly.
Oh, this is grown-up
This is where
Carl.
he grew up. It turns out
All right.
that really...
So it's a society recovered. That's good to know.
Well, it turns out Rick was just fucking with Carl the whole time, and there never even was a zombie apocalypse.
Jesus. That would be a great final episode of like, wake up, Carl, it's all a bad dream.
Coral.
So she basically, she's like, hey, I'm going to put him under observation for a couple days. You know, he's done this before, but he's never had any kind of like, violent or any tendencies. So just keep an eye on him. And then
She gets summoned to Dr. Kumar, who is like, Rose.
Do we want to call him his real name, or are
What
we
is-
just
I
going to
ca- I
keep
couldn't
calling him
remember.
Dr. Whitecastle?
I just called him
Dr.
Kumar.
Whitecastle. Dr. Whitecastle to the red zone. Please.
Paging Dr.
In
Whitecastle.
my notes, I called him Kumar, so I don't know his real name.
Dr. Morgan Desai.
All right, so she gets called up to Dr. Desai's office, and he's like, look, did you send so
You
and
can call
so?
him Morgan. We're on first name
All right,
basis.
Morgan. I've never spent so much energy on what to call a character. Dr. Morgan Kumar Desai. He goes, did you send a patient to such and such? She's like, yeah, I did, because she was a danger to herself. And he's like, lady, she had no insurance. The board is already up my ass. And she was having none of that. Rose was like, well, if
I've got the commissioner up my ass.
yes, it was one of those speeches. And Rose was like, well, if the board cared about people and not money, then this wouldn't be a problem. So tell them to go fuck themselves. And Dr. Desai was like, it's fine. Just tell me. Just give me a heads up so that I don't get blindsided.
See, that was my takeaway from this movie. Late stage capitalism is the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it's about.
And
What are we going to do about it? We're just going to smile and take it.
I think I get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bernie Sanders.
So then he's like, look, have you been here this whole, for a day straight? Go home. And she's like, all right, I'm going to go home. So she goes back to her office and she's packing up. She leaves and it lingers in her office and a phone starts ringing.
That scene, though, when they actually pan from the door to her phone, another great example of something they do in this movie also. They do really slow pans in rooms, but it's not for any kind of focus. Like, you have no idea what you're supposed to be focused on until it tells you what you're supposed to focus on. Another great thing they do to kind of really add that, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I in, like, just the movie never lets you fully get comfortable.
No, there's many, many moments like you described of unease.
Yeah. Much like It Follows.
Again, you never feel, and maybe that's why the movie felt so long to me, is I never felt comfortable. I never felt like I was like in a place of like, okay, let's see what the character does next. It was always just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, I was on edge. This movie like triggered my anxiety.
I definitely can see that, but it does do a good job every once in a while of ratcheting down. I think a lot of times we'll get to Joel, but a lot of the scenes with Rose and Joel were a little more chill.
Yes,
there was some
you're right.
humor
Definitely
in there.
a little more, movie 101.
Whenever Rose is in the presence of another person, it's kind of like you got a moment to breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when she's by herself is when the shit starts hitting the fan,
Oh, warning to our listeners. Don't watch this movie if you don't want to see a dead animal.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been a long
big
time since we've had to put this disclaimer on a movie. I was pissed. We'll get to that. I'm fucking mad at both you guys for making me
I
watch
didn't
this
know.
movie.
How you be mad at me? I watched this movie for the first time yesterday.
I knew about it and I didn't tell you.
Son of a bitch!
She picks up the phone and it's another patient. A new woman has been brought in. She was in a class and her professor killed himself with a hammer.
Bludgeoned himself to death with a hammer.
I can't think of any worse ways of trying to end my life other than maybe just setting myself on fire.
No.
They should put a warning on hammers not to do that.
Don't hit yourself in the mouth with this, please.
No, they actually have warnings on hammers that say don't do that.
Oh, do they?
Yes, that's the joke. Is they?
Oh, God.
Really?
This is a post-hot coffee McDonald's fucking society we live in.
Try not to hammer yourself, please.
She goes in and she's going to talk to the patient. Her name is Laura Weaver. She is extremely upset and trembling and frightened. And I thought the actress who played Laura Weaver did a fantastic job.
Aces. I'll tell you, to be honest, I think every actor in this movie was great. Like, they all just nailed their performance.
And the only person I didn't like, and it was because of the character, Trevor.
Yeah.
But even he did a great job of being who he's supposed to be. Holly and Greg, though, pissed me off. Fuck
Yeah,
this.
those are like the characters, to your point.
Again,
the actors,
everyone fucking
yeah.
did an amazing job in this movie.
Do you think Jesse Usher's ever going to be able to be a likable character in anything he
Who's
does?
Jesse Usher?
He's A-Train
Also a douche.
from The Boys.
Oh, okay.
And then he's a douche here. And I was like, dude, this was your chance to reinvent yourself.
No. Let him be a nice guy for once, Hollywood. So she's interviewing Laura and she's asking the standard therapist questions, like, well, is there any history of your family members having any visions and hallucinations? Sometimes a lot of traumatic events can really weigh on us and make us see things that aren't really there. And Laura's like, you're not listening to me, God damn it. I'm not seeing shit. This isn't fake. I'm a fucking PhD, college student here, okay? Stop acting like I'm crazy, but nobody's listening to me. And she says, I'm seeing things. I'm seeing something that's taking the form of other people, but it's not a
Wearing
person.
other things' faces, and that people who have been dead, people that I know, people that I've had interactions with, it's wearing their faces.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is going to be a face-off situation. And I was so excited for a minute.
If only
it was not.
Nick Cage was the beast at
Can we
the
just recast this whole movie?
No.
Okay.
Nick
But we
Cage
can add
in
Nick
every
Cage.
role.
Okay, cool.
I like these people in the movie,
Okay.
so
I
let's
do
leave them alone. Yeah, and she's like, and it told me today that today is the day I'm going to die. And she's like, no, whatever. Laura, look at me. Laura, look at me. She screams and falls on the ground, knocks over a vase, and then pushes herself up against the wall and screaming maniacally.
Yeah, the first of many very loud jump scares. And I was like, oh, I know what I'm in for. So, because the movie's been a regular volume and then just turned up to 11 and then back down. So it is one where you have to stay on the remote a little bit.
Yeah.
Or just
don't watch
wince.
it late at night.
Or wince, yeah.
Wince as the loud noises happen. Well, Rose moves for the red phone in the room to call for help. She turns around after the phone call, and Laura's gone. And she pans around.
Laura looks like she's getting choked on the ground. She's the way she's acting, it looks like she's being choked out.
And she starts contorting.
Yeah.
And then she's not in there anymore. And Rose is like, what the hell?
Okay, I knew exactly what this was. The moment she looks back where Laura was and she was gone, and then looks over at the vase that was broken in the whole kerfuffle, and I'm just like, she's gone. I was like, she's right behind you. This is the one time I actually was taken out of the moment, and I was just like, just turn around. She's right behind you.
And she is, with that creepy smile on her face, holding a piece of the broken vase. And she just slowly jabs the piece of the vase into her face and goes down around the chin and slits her throat.
Yeah, it's like ear to ear. She starts very high and goes very slow. It was a very, oof.
And she never stops smiling.
Yeah.
Even after she's dead and bleeding out on the ground, her face is still in that smile, frozen forever.
You want to know how I got these scars?
She's like Itchy the Killer style at this point. You know what I mean?
It's intense.
Shout out to them actually understanding how blood works in the neck, because it starts pulsing and pumping down her body. Most movies when they cut the neck, it's a slight blood trickle. No, this is thump thump. It's pumping out all over her, and then when she falls to the ground, it's pretty realistic. This one definitely got me weirded out. I was like, damn.
If you didn't know this, Garrett, only about half the people in the world have arteries.
Oh.
So it doesn't always work the
I
same
wonder if
way.
I'm one of the lucky ones.
Get tested today. Do you have arteries?
Hand me that vase piece, Mark. Let's find out. Oh, this got dark. This podcast got
Well, if you
real
don't
dark
have,
here.
the problem is if you don't have arteries, you just have garden hoses that just shoot blood out.
I like to think inside my body is one of them tractor sprinklers
Yes,
going
that's
back and forth, just spraying my innards with blood.
That's how it works for some people, according to horror movies.
And now I want to have a tractor sprinkler blood horror movie.
That's like an Art the Clown type, maybe Terrifier 3.
Please, yes. Where are you at, Damien Leon? I got ideas.
Oh, is it Motel Hell?
Yeah.
Where they were growing them? That would have been a good scene for there, too.
You're right.
Then we cut to a title card. Don't forget, we get that weird title card.
I
right
like the
now.
title card.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it.
It's a flashing light, just
It's an epilepsy warning just waiting to happen. It's basically just like, smile, smile, smile. I was like, wow, okay. Is this the feel we're going with? And yeah, that's the feel we went with.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna like zoom out and been like a broken dentist sign or something, but no, it's just a title card.
You know what? I miss title cards from the 80s when they did the swoop in like Superman, where it was like
Yes.
that long trail. We need some more of that happening again.
Title cards really have taken a step back. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
want to
miss title sequences. I watched Final Destination the other day and I was like, man, I really miss these like a minute and a half title sequences where we get some crazy visual that some 3D CG artist is like, finally, it's Tony's time to shine.
let me see all the characters looking up when their name comes. That's what I want to see. That's the only way I'm going to remember these
I
people.
want the Predator freeze frame where they basically, it's all like, you know, Danny
Yes.
DeVito and he like freezes like, hey, and it smiles.
You know what? Now that AI is taking over the art world, that'll be where everybody's going to go to.
Don't
They're
even
going to
get me
start making those title sequences again.
Okay.
That's where all the talent's going.
arts.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something that I hate less than that. So back to Smile.
Rose is sitting in the office. She's being interviewed by two policemen. We're going to come find out that one of those policemen has a history with Rose. His name's Joel.
I like Joel.
Joel's a good guy.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Joel was good.
He didn't do any. Joel's like compared to Trevor.
Why do you not like Joel?
Joel just seems smarmy as fuck to me.
Really? He seems supportive and is trying to help her. And
I didn't know what their history was for a long time. So the whole movie, I was just like, she left this dickhead for a reason.
Well, she told you.
Well, yeah, at the very, very end, we find out.
They're trying to determine exactly what they can tell Laura's family because they're going to have to go talk to the parents after this horrific suicide. And they're like, we just want to know, was she on the level? Was she Looney Tunes? Like, what are we talking here?
sounds like a head case to me.
Yeah, you got asshole cop, and then you got Joel, who only looks nice because the asshole cop is such a fucking dick.
I did not get that vibe from Joel at all. It just seemed like a okay guy dealing with a lot of shit. And yeah, so she's like, well, she could be dealing with like a post-traumatic stress situation. And, you know, she came in, she was very manic, da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, the asshole cop is like, got it, she's crazy. And,
Yeah.
And then they send her home. And then we get to meet Trevor for the first time.
Rose drinks a lot of wine in this movie, I've noticed.
Wouldn't you?
I want to dissect this scene because this drove me absolutely crazy. So she walks in, and if you have subtitles on, the screen basically pops up the word meow at the bottom before the cat walks in frame. So it was like, she walks home and it was meow. And I was like, did she just meow at her home?
Don't you?
She's the only one there on the screen. I was like, what the? And then the little kitty walks in, and I paused the movie immediately and turned to my roommate, and I was like, if anything happens to this fucking cat, I was so like already upset. Because I knew something. This movie was the kind of movie that would totally lean into that.
First mistake, naming the cat after a hairstyle.
Oh, she named it Mustache. That's a good
That's a
cat name.
tremendous cat name.
Why is that a good cat
That's
name?
a good cat name.
I don't know, but when I hear a cat named Mustache, I go, that is a great name for a cat.
Shout out to all the great cats in my life. Jarvis, Tux,
Sideburns.
A sideburn is a
Goatee.
great cat, and a goatee,
This could
no.
be all milk.
Yeah.
Hey, Sideburns, you want some of this milk?
Yeah. Goatee,
Anyway,
not so much.
So she
but-
comes home, and of course, she's had a rough day. Who doesn't?
Yeah, I would say so.
She opens her fridge and has arguably the biggest bottle of mayonnaise I've ever seen in my life. I was
Oh, I didn't really go through her
Dude,
items.
Oh, I
paused it. He's
I
like, I'm gonna
judged
write-
the fuck out of her fridge, man. She's got like 3 different mustards. I was like, you bougie fucker.
Baloney. What kind of white trash is this?
And
Did
then
it
she
have a
gets-
first name at least?
And then she struggles to get the cork out of the white wine, and she does.
Yep.
And then she turns around and leans against the fridge to drink her wine. Which, why? I don't.
Because she's going to down it so fast, she might as well be right there at the source.
Look, I think you're judging her very hard considering the
I
day
am.
she just had.
Yes, I am.
Someone-
I know I'm being unfair on this, but like when she got home, I was just like, I don't care for this woman's lifestyle. And then she sees something in the doorway. The first of Garrett's fuck this movie. I don't want to see anything else it has to do. That
What-
shit scared the fuck out of me.
It pans from Rose at the fridge and it goes across the kitchen and dining room. And over in the corner, you can see Laura smiling creepily in the blackness.
Oh, was that Laura?
Oh, that was Laura.
It was great. It's a great visual.
It's just visual enough where you can actually see her and not be like, what is that? But
I
it's
saw it
also
was a
like,
face, but you know I can't recognize anybody. So I was like,
yeah,
oh,
she's
must be a ghost.
standing there, and I was like, I'm not okay with this.
And then all of a sudden, Rose, the fiance, is home and she drops her first of many glasses of wine on the ground.
Yes, I was like, this has just become a running gag with her.
Trevor's a dick, but I totally get it, man.
Yeah. So she gets startled. They clean up the wine and she kind of says, look, I've had a really shitty day. And then,
Well, she tries to hide it. She apologizes. Okay, she apologizes to everyone in this movie nonstop, and I'm like, girl, you gotta stop apologizing. You did nothing wrong.
but that's kind of indicative of someone who
I
carries
know
around a lot of guilt.
Yes.
I know, I got it, but it triggered something to me that I was just like, stop apologizing.
I also felt like that it was a sign that their relationship wasn't as strong as it like a healthy one should be, because she was like, oh, I'm just venting, I shouldn't have even said anything. It's like, girl, this is a terrible fucking day in your life. You should be able to share this with your significant other.
I couldn't tell if that was just her or if that was indicative of their relationship. I mean, later on we'll find out it was definitely the relationship, but it was one of those things where it was just kind of like, like, why are you apologizing so much?
in the moment, but yes, as the movie progresses, you see like, he's just terrible.
If you cannot confide in your significant other when you had a day where someone committed suicide 4 feet from you, smiling creepily as they died, then you're not in a good relationship.
Yeah.
You need to get out of that now and go hang out with whatever Joel is nearby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Find yourself a Joel is what I'm
I couldn't
saying.
tell if that was her just trying to be like, I don't want to burden anyone else with what I saw, or if it was I can't actually talk to Trevor about this.
That
Again,
comes with the territory.
Yeah.
it wasn't until later when Trevor's like, guess what, crazy? Go fuck yourself. I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. This guy is a douchebag.
They go out to dinner, and the next note I have is Craig and Holly suck a lot.
Dude, they're the worst.
I hate Craig and Holly.
So Holly is Rose's sister. I guess Craig is her brother-in-law.
See, I didn't know that. I was like, who are these detestable humans?
And Holly is just like, well, I have no time. Little Joey's in karate and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he's taking Spanish and the piano, and it's just so hard to be me.
I have to cut the crust off his sandwiches.
Yeah.
She is insufferable, and Craig is a Craig.
Greg. Is it Greg or Craig?
Craig.
I don't even want to know his name.
I thought it was Greg. I have him listed as Greg. The whole fucking Greg.
Yeah, dude, you know what? He is a Greg. So, real Greg energy coming out of that guy.
I didn't even cite Greg in the IMDb list. I should.
He's only in 2 scenes. This
Yeah,
one
fuck
and
that guy.
later when.
So they're basically like blathering on. She is zoning out, and the audio does this thing where it kind of mutes itself. Everything kind of like gets real muffled and starts to mute itself when you can tell she's not paying attention. Real subtle movie.
I liked that effect.
No, it was really cool, but it was like very blatant. It was like, yeah, we get it. You could tell the actress did a good enough job to show that she was spacing out, that we didn't need the audio
But
thing.
I think it built that sense of dread because it was
did.
very uncomfortable to hear. So.
And then she's like, you are coming Saturday, right? And like, I guess like their kid is having a birthday party.
Yes.
It is Greg. I'm sorry. I named him Craig because I hate Craig.
Real fucking Craig energy. That's
know,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yes. And she's like, wait, what's Saturday? And Holly's like, this is the worst thing that you've ever said to
I
me.
know. She acted like she denied the Holocaust
Yes.
almost. I was like, yo, calm the fuck down, Holly.
It's almost like she was like, you know what? I love Hitler.
Yeah. Holly, yay, ye, whatever. The
Same energy.
Same. So Rose is like, I have to work because I have a job like a
This
regular
is gonna age
person.
poorly 5 years from now when someone listens to this episode.
Yeah, please don't take me out of context saying I love Hitler.
Someone clip that.
Yeah. Official GraveTalk stance on Hitler. Bad guy. We don't like him. Thumbs down.
Fuck Hitler.
0 out of 5 stars.
Go.
So Holly's like, what do you mean you have to work? I thought you were a doctor. And Rose is like, well, I work for this free clinic, da 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 da. And she's like, why even become a doctor if you're not going to make $1 million? It's like, God damn it, Holly. But this one time in the whole movie, Trevor stands up for his girl. He's like, what, are you kidding? Rose loves being a doctor. She would have done it. She'd do it for free.
And that's when Greg goes like, huh, really? And it's just like, dude, you dick.
Yeah.
You got no say in this.
helping mankind. What a weird humankind. What a weird thing.
How do we describe Greg? Like, he is like one of the millennial dad douches of the century. Like
Yeah.
that energy
I think
that
that's
he.
misaligning millennials, but
that's like our age
He's
people.
like your
Yeah, he's
yuppie,
he's a
he's like your
millennial.
yuppie prick. Like he just basically like if it's not within his direct bubble, he could give 2 shits about it and will never bother putting any effort into understanding
I
it.
got it. You know the dad from Nightmare on Elm Street 2? He's like the 2000s 2020 version of that guy.
Are you sure you're not referring to Friday the 13th?
No, this
Keep
time I
mixing
got
them
it.
up? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
this time I
Cool.
got it. The guy who accused his kid of putting a firecracker in a bird.
So you're telling me that this Greg is the Clue Gulager of 2022?
Yes, that is.
I like it. I can get behind this. So anyway, they're real pieces of shit. Evidently, their kid's having a Saturday birthday party where he's turning 7. She's like, I don't know if I can make it. Big old to do. They go back home. And I think we get like a jump scare where she like has a dream about her dead mom again.
Yeah, then it cuts back to her in the hospital and she's sort of zoning out as coffee's getting made. And someone comes in, they're like, "Hey, doctor." And she's like, "Hey, what's up?"
This is when
And
she
they're
goes and talks to the nurses.
Yeah, and she goes and talks to the nurses. She's like, "Oh, hey, that Laura Weaver came in and she had an incident with her professor. Can you send me those files?" And they're like, "Yeah." Joel comes up and they have this weird, awkward conversation where he's just like, "I'm sorry." And she's like, "Look, you were just doing your job." And
This is where we get the indication that they actually have had a history together. She's
Yes.
like that time's over or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, these two were together at some point.
And then he like asked her out for coffee or something, and she's like, "I gotta go." And the nurse is like,
Did you take that as like he was asking her for coffee though? Because I took it as like he just wanted to make sure she was okay.
I think he was.
I thought this was innocent.
I think he really does care for Rose, and I do think it was not intended to be like making a move on her, but I can see how, from Rose's perspective, it might be inappropriate because she has a fiance now.
Well, like how
This
the
is her
nurse
ex.
is like, she's got a fiance, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes. And she's like, but I'm single. And
Yeah,
I was like,
man.
get that shit, girl. Do it.
Shoot your shot.
Rose is on the phone with Holly and she's kind of apologizing for the night before. Like, look, I'm sorry. I'm kind of not in the right space.
Classic Rose.
And she looks outside into the courtyard of the hospital and she sees Laura down there smiling away.
Yeah.
She's like, holy shit.
Holly, continuing her attitude of being the worst possible human, is like, "Well, can you at least get him a gift? He likes electric trains." It's like, come on.
She's like, he likes model trains. And I was like, of course he fucking does.
Yeah.
As if this boy needs any more material items. He's in a nice house. Clearly they're well-to-do, but please get my son a gift, you fucking piece of shit.
They live like in a Hallmark holiday movie house, all right,
Oh,
to give you an
definitely.
idea of what's going on there.
And what fucking child in 2022 is into model trains? What is he, my grandpa?
Holly and Greg's kid.
Yeah.
It's funny they said model trains. I was like, let me guess, he's into stamps too. So after this moment, after seeing Laura out in the courtyard, she's walking her rounds down the hall and she passes, she's passing rooms and they're kind of flying by as she's walking and everyone's normal. And then she passes a room and then Carl from earlier is sitting up just smiling with the creepy smile. And we say the creepy smile, it's very similar to the oversized smile that the characters do throughout this whole movie.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this movie, at least go look at the poster and then you'll know what the creepy smile is.
Yeah, exactly. And so she double takes and she's like, "Carl, what are you doing?" Like, "Carl, what the hell is wrong with you?"
He's doing his chant, "You're going to die, I'm going to die, we're all going to die."
But he's saying it like not like he was in the beginning where he was panicked. Now it's just kind of like,
You're going to die. 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 You're going to die.
he's affected by whatever this smile monster is. And he starts like bum rushing her and she's like, "Somebody restrain this man." And then we cut back to reality. And this is when we start to see that she's actually seeing things that are different than what's actually happening because all these orderlies run in and subdue him on the bed where he's asleep. Like she basically had them attack a sleeping dude who's got manic problems.
Yeah.
And he's like freaking out. Like, what the hell,
They beat the shit out of this kid like fucking.
I almost said Rodney Dangerfield.
I almost did. I meant Rodney King. They just fucking boot stomp him, man. They throw him off the bed. They're pounding on him. Like, damn,
they're
poor
being
Carl.
very rough restraining him, but yeah, they're not like kicking him or
No,
anything.
they're kicking. Go watch it. They're kicking the shit out of this guy.
Okay, all right. I must have missed that.
In Rose's mind's eye, when the hallucination's taking place, Carl is repeating over and over, "You're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die," getting up in her face. And then it turns out that none of that is true. She's made a mistake. She's had a really docile, manic
Poor
guy
dude.
beat to shit, more or less.
Yeah.
And now she's got to sit in front of Dr. Desai. He's like, "Rose, do you think you might have fucked up here?"
And but he's a great boss. He's like, "Look, why don't you just take a 2-week paid vacation? Just go unwind." And I think any reasonable person would be.
If that's all it takes, I'm going to have Mark get his ass kicked at work and someone's like, "Garrett, take 2 weeks off paid, son."
I think this is like Rose's character flaw. Maybe she just doesn't know how to let things go because any reasonable.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
You
'Cause
think?
any reasonable person would be like, "You know what? You're right. I do need to step away for a second." Rose is like, 2 weeks off. This is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. Are you sure? And he's
But
like,
this
"Yes,
is-
I am sure."
This goes back to Rose. Again, this was obvious to me at this point, but later on they actually spell it out. Like, because of the thing that happened with her mom. Because, spoilers, John.
Woo! I didn't do it this time.
As her mom is ODing on all the pills and stuff like that, she's like, "Mom, you made a mistake. Go get the phone." Well, she chooses not to go get the phone. So she kind of let her mom die. So obviously she's got all this guilt and trauma based around that. And so like one of the reasons she like is obsessed with like helping people through mental stuff is because of what she did. So like this is one of the reasons why she's so hesitant to step away. Why she takes it as like almost like a personal like, you know, attack when she is told like, hey, maybe you're not the one to help these people. But yeah, Dr. Desai pretty much is like, you're taking 2 weeks, so have a good time.
Skedaddle.
Yeah, skedaddle as it were. And then we cut to her drinking wine in front of the fridge.
Well, on the way home, she stops at a model train shop.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
For her grandpa nephew. It's like, I'm getting you the best silver line B&O railroad motherfucking train you ever seen. And I did like the imagery on the box of the model train is a bunch of fake people smiling on it.
The old 1950s
Yes.
kind of pop art style.
Right,
Yeah.
Norman Rockwell shit, you know.
So after she gets Uncle Grandpa, is that what it is? Is that what you called it?
Grandpa nephew.
Grandpa nephew.
The train. She goes home and she's wrapping the train up, and Trevor comes home. Oh no, she texts him, is like, hey, are you going to be home soon? And he's like, gotta work late. And I was like, is Trevor fucking around on her? Because that's not going to go well for her if that's the case.
For all we know, he is.
Yeah, classic A
Could
train.
be, but they don't tell
I think
us
he was
that.
just kind of avoiding her. I think he was just kind of like, she's being stressful right now, and I don't want to be around that. Because we find out that Trevor is a soft boy who can't handle interactions with human beings that are having emotions of any kind.
I think if I were to analyze Trevor based on the information we have, that he is a superficial person who's only looking for the fake outside, look at my white picket fence, wife, family, sort. So as long as that is maintained, that's all he cares about. He doesn't want to have to do any of the underneath work to get it there.
He wants Greg's life.
Yeah, he wants to be a Greg.
Yeah, he wants to be a Greg.
Who wants to be a fucking Greg?
Nobody wants to be a Greg.
Apparently Trevor does.
So she's kind of bummed. You can see her again. Shout out to the actress Sosie Bacon, because she does a really good job of like showing how depressed she is. Just that one text, and I was like, man, God, I really felt for her in that moment.
She's sitting at the table and she's wrapping
This is the door shit. Yeah, you're right.
She starts wrapping up the train while drinking her wine. The security alarm goes off. And it's loud as hell. You want to talk about a jump scare?
Oh, so annoying.
That got me. I was like, holy shit, that's loud. And she drops her wine again. Smash right there. And it's like, well, there's two.
And you're going to need to go and buy a whole new set.
No. If you're looking for gift ideas for
Yes.
Rose and Trevor, get them
need
some
a-
wine glasses.
Yeah, she broke half of them. They come in a set of 4. They're down half their wine glasses now.
They buy them in bulk.
Alexa, get me 32 glasses, please.
I hope everyone's Alexa while listening to this
Yeah.
goes off.
So the back door is wide open, and
This fucked me up.
This is my favorite scene in the movie.
the whole one.
The whole one.
She gets the phone to call the cops, I guess, right?
No, the alarm company's calling her because they're
that's
like,
right. That's what they do. I forget that they do that.
yeah, they're like, hey, we get an alarm. Is this an accident? What's your password?
ADT, how can I help you?
Yeah, and she's like, oh, my password's Acapulco. She's like, all right, is everything good there? And she's like, yeah, the back door's open though, which is weird, but I think I'm alone. And
She
then,
goes like, are you alone in the house? And she's like, yes. And they're like, are you sure? And immediately I stopped what I was doing at my table and I was like, no.
yeah,
no,
this
no,
is
no,
such
no,
a great scene.
Are
She
you
goes,
sure you haven't let something inside, Rose?
Fucked me up.
He
When
goes,
that
"Ooh."
voice said that, I was like, get the fuck out, movie.
Look behind you, Rose. I was like, oh.
I was getting PT flashes.
Oh,
Several days before the murder, look behind you. I said, look behind you. Like you think.
I'm freaking out over here. I don't
And then
like
the
this.
phone rings again.
It's not in her hand anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, yo.
And that's one of the things I think this movie does the best is because you don't know what's real and what's not.
Yes, I love how intricate I guess hallucinations. I don't know that I don't know what they are. The
They're
movie doesn't-
hallucinations, but it's more kind of like you don't know when you're in one and when you're not.
So the movie doesn't ever really delve into exactly what we're dealing with
Yeah.
here. But it is, I'm going to assume, some sort of demonic vision. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not so much like it's not happening, but it's definitely inside the person's mind.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
fair. Because they are so intricate, so much different than like It Follows, where you're only seeing that thing come at you.
Even the way when you think the movie's going to wrap and
Yes.
it doesn't. I was like, this is about to get like a 3-star rating, a 2-star, but then the movie keeps going. I'm like, okay, you earned a better grade.
If one of the
Is
best
that
scenes,
after the fire?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. I was really upset. I was
like, if the movie wraps here, this movie sucks.
no way. If that movie wrapped there, I was going to like, finally, Garrett is proven right once again in a movie. Burn the house down, and that solves the problem.
I
Well,
actually
sure.
like the first ending if they had just worked in the cool shot of the demon somehow, because I think, well, I guess we'll get there.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that.
It
So
changes-
back to Rose needing a sippy cup because she can't drink wine.
Right. So the phone rings again and she picks it up and it's the security people and she's like, Mother of God.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because she now realizes that the moment she just had was not real. And
Yeah.
now she can't trust herself.
So the cops show up and they're like, is it possible that you just left the back door open or something?
there a-
Oh, what a bunch of dicks.
Weird conversation they have with her. Yeah, they're like, look, did you not latch the door, lady? And it felt very aggressive, because then Trevor comes home and is like, why'd you set the alarm?
No. Can we talk about Trevor pulling up to his house with cop car lights flashing, his wife standing in front talking to cops? He gets out of his car and stands there like, I wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Walk over to your wife and see if she's okay. Like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Well,
He's
again,
more
he does-
inconvenienced by like the fact that they're there as opposed to like what could have happened.
Because he's a tool. He blames her for setting the alarm instead of being like, this is weird.
Right. At no point is he empathetic to his wife.
No.
Not once.
What a prick.
It's like, why wouldn't you expect her to turn the alarm on Trevor? You should know when you were coming home, because you were like, I'll be home who knows when,
That
smiley
was
face.
a huge engagement ring, though. Did you guys see that ring? That was rowdy awesome.
I didn't.
Yeah, I
her
missed
ring was
that part.
fabulous.
Shout out to Trevor's diamond
Yeah.
picking skills.
Yeah.
But the cops leave. They go back inside, and Mustache, the cat, is missing.
Time to feed the cat, and the cat can't be found.
Mustache, sideburns, goatees,
Well, yeah,
bald spots.
they're shaking the food
Soul
or whatever.
Patch.
Soul patch. Oh, there you go.
That's a
Little-
good cat name,
Little soul
actually.
patch.
Handlebar.
Lil Soul Patch. I like that.
Little
Boom.
Soul Patch,
Pat
pretty
pending.
good. I like that one. Hobbit feet. What other body hair
All right,
can we
stop.
call cat?
Let's get back into this movie.
Cat names are generally silly. Or well, people go really in weird directions with cat names, or they're named like James. You know, like, oh, this is my cat, Bill.
This is Rutherford.
Yeah, real like people names or silly names.
I'm allergic to cats.
We can tell by your hatred of their names.
Just call them candy corn.
Oh,
corn.
okay, good.
Things that I don't like can be
Cece.
cats' names.
Oh yeah, Cece. That's probably what they get called.
There you go.
Anyway,
They can't find the cat, and
Rose can't sleep, so she's up at night listening to the recording of Laura Weaver dying
yes,
Okay, you
at like
send,
3 a.m.
You send your doctor home because of a traumatic experience. You don't let her take the audio home of the incident and then be like, here you go, just if you get around to it.
just want to replay this all night.
And also, you just went through that. Why would you want to listen to it again? I know she's looking for answers because now she's seeing something that's similar to what Laura was saying. But what a dumb fucking idea. Also, the middle of the night, after you've had the ADT situation happen, after you're, again, I'm getting upset, and I'm trying not to get upset at Rose because it's not fair, but like, why the fuck do you keep doing this stupid shit? Like, step away.
Obsessive compulsive, dude. You know what I mean? Like, she's just got to get to the bottom of it.
I know, but there's other ways to do it. Like, you know, daytime with other people around. Go wake up your husband. Listen to it in bed and be like, here, honey, listen to this. Do you hear something fucked up?
She's not expecting anything supernatural right now, because in the scene after, she goes to her therapist and thinks so in her rational mind she thinks, okay, I'm having like PTSD hallucinations.
When your security company says, are you sure you didn't let something in? Turn around, look behind you. Done. There's no more like, I wonder if I should. No, stop what you're doing and recalibrate.
She's a psychiatrist. She's looking at this from a very rational point of view right now. It changes, in the next few scenes.
No, you're right. But I just fucking this again. That's one of the reasons I think I was so invested in the character, because this infuriated me. I was just like, Rose. I just wanted to like grab her and hug her and be like, stop, whatever the fuck you're doing, just stop.
It would have been a tough character jump for her to immediately be like totally bought in from what we know from her past. So I think that's why she's like doesn't care that she's doing this in the middle of the night, which is weird anyway. But
So she's playing the interview back, and she hears a little something on the recording, almost like a whisper. So like Garrett said earlier, she keeps...
After Laura's dead.
Yeah.
yeah,
She keeps up in the audio, and I think you can slightly, very quietly hear something say, Rose.
the
what it
captions
is.
said that. I could not hear that. I replayed it like 5 times, even after I knew it said Rose, and I was like, all right.
We had our volume up way too loud on our TV, which also added to the bullshit fucking audio jump scares where it was like, really fuckers? Which made me think that we blew our speakers every time they kept fucking doing that. Yes, it did actually say Rose very quietly. And then they turn the camera real fast, and there's Laura next to her smiling
And screams, Rose.
yeah.
I was like, all
fucking
right.
bullshit, man.
Okay, movie.
Got me with that jump scare did get me. That was a good one. And she pushes herself.
They got us in the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she grabs a knife and starts like wandering around the house, like poking in the dark. I'm like, what are you doing?
She's like screaming and shit, and then like Trevor runs out and is like Rose, and he's like, "Oh my god, put the knife down!" Like,
Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
to
Which I
be fair,
get.
that's the best reaction. Like
Yeah.
that was the most accurate reaction he could have had.
So she would have stabbed him. She was in stabbing mode. So
So she goes to her old therapist the next day. We find out that she used to be a client here dealing with the grief of her mother.
She asked for Risperdal.
She wants script. She
Yeah.
wants to get prescription for pills. And I'm like, I get it. Get those pills. You are going crazy right now. But the therapist is like, nah, let's just resume our sessions and then we'll see about the scripts later.
which is a good doctor thing to do. Like if a patient comes to you in like drug seeking mode, I don't think you're just supposed to be like, yeah, here you go. So
And if you are a doctor that does that, get at me. No, I'm just kidding.
Rose is then going to go ahead and put on her fake smile. She's in the mirror putting on her makeup. She's trying to put on a face. It's time for Grandpa Nephew's birthday.
You gotta quit calling him that. You're killing me with that.
and it's a very grandpa nephew birthday party, I'll tell you what. I don't think I saw any other kids. It's just like adults.
Yo, I don't think I saw any kids either.
There was a few,
Okay, but there had to be at least one or two kids.
but mostly there's parents drinking wine in a corner.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, here's my sister, introduce her to the adult beverages. And then we basically cut to the kid opening his presents. And he opens it up and it's like some gun set.
Gun, yeah.
And then it's like, here's the one from your aunt. And it's like, shit, what did old Aunt Rose get me this
She's
time?
excited. He's excited though. He's like, all right, this could be cool.
He's like, could it be more World War I bonds? What other garbage do I collect as Grandpa Nephew?
Oh boy, I hope it's coins.
He opens the present and
Shoe shining kid. Thanks, Rose.
what's that dumb little like cone and ball that's attached to
Yes.
itself?
Ball on cone. Yeah, whatever it is. It's a hoop with a stick.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So as he opens the package, you could just see the demeanor on this kid's face. It's like, what in the hell am I supposed to do with whatever this is? And there's like, show us what you got. He pulls out mustache, a dead cat, and holds it up and is like, huh?
The reveal of this is fucking heart wrenching. Like he just starts pointing the cat, and then Rose's face. I have never felt for a character more than when she sees Mustache being pulled out of that box and she just loses her shit. She runs over, she grabs the cat, like, fuck that kid. That kid can go die for all she cares.
For me, this scene is the most effective.
This was a very good one.
Like you said, I'm connecting to Rose. I feel bad for her. Yeah. And the shock, the minute that the package started opening, I was like, there's the cat.
I have a note that basically, I turned to my room and I was like, if it's this fucking cat, I'm going to turn this movie off. And sure enough, it was the cat. And I was like, I fucking hate Mark.
Even my wife, who was just coming through the living room as I was watching, she's like, I bet that cat's in there. Like,
Oh, of course she did.
Poor mustache.
Called it.
But the shock in terror, everybody's face as that kid pulls out the cat. And then Sosie Bacon, her acting, like when everybody starts looking at her like she's the craziest person that's ever crazied.
Yeah.
Like I felt that. I was like, dude, the feeling of having the eyes turn on you and like, you know, pointing and glaring. And
She's like, I didn't do that. That's not me. That's not mine. I didn't do that.
And the way she gets in that high pitched muttering of like, guys, really, I need
not
help.
Even defensive. It's a little defensive, but
shock.
it's more just like the disbelief that you could actually think I would do that.
No, I promise you this wasn't me. It wasn't me, I swear. You guys have to believe me, please. Somebody please fucking believe me.
Yeah.
I'm so upset right now. Like I literally I'm shaking on the inside because I'm so like, if this was me and my cat, I don't know how I'd handle it. I'd probably just start punching people, just be like, fuck every one of you. Wow.
Starting with
Wow.
Grandpa Nephew. You're out of here.
Just,
and one to grow on. Bam.
But she just can't handle it. Like the fact they're looking at her like this could be a possible thing that she could do.
Right.
And she backs up and falls through the glass table, Fight Club style.
The crowd parts a little bit and sitting in one of the rocking chairs.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Laura?
Laura.
Smiling. And then, of course, she's like, what are you? Who are you?
Wait, was
Can
that
you
Laura? I
see
thought that was
Oh,
the bitchy friend from earlier in the party.
You're right.
The one that was like, can you help me with some therapy shit?
The entity has taken on one of the party
friends.
guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she starts screaming and and it cuts and there's nothing there. No one else can see this. And then, she backs up and she falls through a glass coffee table.
To be fair, she yells, can't you fucking see that? And
Yeah.
then points to an empty chair. And I'm like, okay, that's not helping your case much there.
Yeah, it was a very effective scene though.
But Rose shreds those arms.
Oh, I felt so bad for her.
Have you guys fallen through glass before?
No.
Okay,
can't say I have.
as someone who has,
Haven't had the pleasure.
as someone who's basically busted out a glass, like sliding glass door, that shit'll cut you quick, man.
I believe it. Well, it fucked
you
her up.
Cuts to her in the hospital. She's laying in the bed. Her arms have been patched up, and she's just looking out of the hospital room windows. And another gut-wrenching feeling I felt for her is just watching her fiance and sister argue in the hall and be like, can you imagine if that was being argued about you? It's like,
Well, it wasn't
you're
an
the
argument.
person.
It was Holly telling off Trevor and Trevor just standing there and taking it. I was like, dude, like you could tell he wasn't defending her.
Yeah.
In this moment, it's kind of like, what the hell do you say? Oh, by the way, your fiance put a dead cat in a present and gave it to my son.
You know what you say? There's no fucking way she did that. She would never do that. She fucking loved Mustache. I understand this is traumatic, but you need to chill the fuck out. Something's obviously going wrong. Let's
Yeah.
go find out what's going on
Don't
before
talk
you
that
start
way.
fucking throwing stones.
Yeah, don't talk that way about my fiance.
Yeah.
And then you punch her.
That's you save the punches for the third act, but yes.
Okay.
That's assault, brother.
You punch the kid at the party. You wait to punch the adults later on.
And then her boss comes in and is like, hey, Rose, heard you in the hospital. She's like, oh, fuck.
Could this day get
But
any
he is
worse?
concerned.
Yes.
He's like, are you okay? Like, dude, this doctor really, as you said, he's a good boss, man.
Yes.
He really is. He cares about Rose.
Well, you get the feeling that they are friends outside of work.
Yeah, he's coming from a place of concern, but it would suck if your boss came on top of all this other shit. And so he basically is just like, look, obviously you can't keep seeing patients right now. Let's get yourself together.
He's like, you have to stay away from the hospital now.
Yeah.
She's been banned from her work.
Which, I mean, I get. She has got to help herself before she can help others.
Now comes the one scene that I want your guys' opinion on.
Is it where they
drive
talk,
home.
They talk in the car?
Yes, it's the drive home where she finally says, okay, Trevor, I'm going to tell you something. I need you to be open-minded. Check this shit out. And so she basically says the whole shenanigans, the whole to-do up to this point. And then Trevor responds. Trevor responds like you would expect Trevor to respond. Like you're fucking crazy. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
He's the worst.
If your significant other came to you and said that they were dealing with something similar to this, gave you the same spiel, how would you react?
Not like this. You'd have to empathize, and I don't know that I would believe them, right? That's a big stretch, especially knowing. I assume Trevor knows about her past history, because he later goes, it's hereditary.
Oh yeah, he said that shit in the driveway and they get out of the car in just a minute. After he basically is like, I can't deal with this. I have to walk away right now. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, she grabs the door and then she starts apologizing to him. Like, how could I ever keep you trying to talk to me? And it's like,
she's trying to seem as less crazy as possible in this moment. So that's why she's like, sorry. Don't take that the wrong way, But
she seems more.
But the thing is like Trevor has absolute no empathy. He's not willing to entertain or understand where Rose is coming from. So in this moment, you need to do a little bit of that. Just a little bit to say look, I understand. This is whatever's happening right now is definitely something else.
And you got to say all right, look, we'll get through this together or whatever. Just align and be like, look, I'm still on your side. We're going to figure this out.
There is no percentage of support coming from him at all.
Yeah, negative support. He was like, I don't even want to hear about this. So why don't you deal with this shit all on your own?
See, the thing is the cat. That's what immediately would trigger me in. If someone was all like, oh, you obviously had to kill your cat and put it in a box, I'd be like, if I was engaged to someone, I would know them well enough to know that would never be a possibility. I would immediately be like, okay, someone snuck in our house that day. The window door was open and killed your cat. Someone's in our house right now, living there, putting cats in boxes that we don't know about. Let's go check it out. Let's call the fucking... Again, the fact that he just immediately is like, yeah, you had to have done this. I'm just like, dude, get fucked, man. I feel like if someone was like, Garrett, you killed your cat, I'd be like, y'all better believe that fucking Satan is alive and well and doing this shit, because there's no way.
He could very easily tie it to the alarm situation. All that happened, but he doesn't accept anything.
It's not entertained in the least in his mind.
Yeah. And then he sleeps on the couch that night like a real fucking prick, dude. Your girl needs help. She just went through a fucking glass table.
Yeah.
God, Trevor just pisses me off, man.
He sucks.
He's pretty much
this
trash.
guy.
So instead of sleeping, she's going to do some more internet research, and she's looking into the professor that killed himself in front of Laura.
And can I tell you my actual favorite part of this movie? they used real Google somehow, not Foogle or Search Weber or whatever. I was like, damn, how'd they manage that?
I feel like at this point, Google's like, yeah, we know we exist in the world.
She should have asked Jeeves.
Yes, that would have been awesome. That's probably where 16 of the $17 million went to pay
I
Google.
would love if in a movie they just actually had someone using Siri. Siri, Google 10,000 deaths and, like just really those out loud saying really stupid shit and have your partner be like, what the fuck are you doing?
If you want me to do that, you got to unlock me first. So while she's doing her research, I don't know how people do this, but her door is wide open with just the blackness of the house spilling into the room, and she hears her name, Rose.
You don't keep the doors open in your house?
Well, if I'm busy working, I close the dang
In a
door.
room, the door is closed or there's lights on in the other room.
Oh, I don't.
You see my electric bill. It is no joke.
So she's like, nuh-uh, not fucking dealing with this shit. And she just curls up under the covers and is like, I'm not going to do whatever's going on right now.
Which I totally get.
So after that whole shenanigan, she basically is going to go see the Professor Hammerhead's wife, Mrs. Muniz, and get some information. So she poses a reporter, and she's like, "Oh, we have some questions. We're trying to get figured out and answered." And she starts asking questions like what led up to this, and she kind of describes similar behavior to what she's experiencing and stuff like that. And so she takes her down to the basement or whatever where his office was, and she's like, this is what he was drawing and seeing before, everything that happened. And she's like, that's his brother. His brother's been dead in an accident for 20 years or something like that. And he's got a picture of the brother sketched out on this paper,
These are
smiling.
Some great drawings.
Yeah, great charcoal, lead drawings. But everyone's got that creepy smile. People ripping flesh off of their face, which I thought, well, that's a creepy little imagery. That shit's going to come back. Thank goodness, because that was effective.
Schrodinger's face pull.
There you go. And so then she's like, wait a minute, are you a reporter? And she's like,
Chekhov's.
Yeah, check Captain Sulu's face pull. So anyway, I don't remember how the cover gets blown, but basically she's like, you got to leave. Get the fuck out of here and never come back.
I think she basically says I am doing, this is happening to me too.
She's like, did he ever say how to stop it? Everything that's going on, all the crazy bullshit that everything's faked. Is there any way to make that not happen? And she's like, what kind of fucking reporter are you anyway?
Let's say you were seeing the same thing.
Get out of my house.
Get out of my house. And shout out to Judy Reyes. I hadn't seen her since Scrubs.
Oh, is that who that was?
She's Carla from Scrubs.
That's Carla?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
She's looking fantastic.
Yeah.
I was like, good to see you again.
So.
Been a while.
Would not have recognized her at all.
So with plan A failed, she's going to leave now. And at this point is when she goes to talk to Joel, I believe.
And so she shows up at Joel's.
Because why wouldn't you go back to your ex-boyfriend's place when you're having a problem with your crazy fiance and a demon monster?
You mean this very kind, supportive, generous person?
The only one that's taken any interest or tried to be sympathetic towards her at all.
He's a cop, you guys. You can't trust him.
Well, yes. I mean, in general, but he's a decent guy, at least from what we've seen.
Yes, no. She basically goes to him and is like, okay, look, I've got some information here. Can you tell me about Professor Hammerhead and anything related to the case? And that's when she kind of finds out there's other people that have had this happen or something like that.
I feel like Professor Hammerhead would be a Dick Tracy character.
Oh, definitely.
Isn't there a Hammerhead?
There's a Hammerhead in Marvel.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so she goes to Joel and she walks into his apartment and he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, look, I'm going to ask you some questions.
I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to answer them. Capiche?
And don't ask me any questions. This is a one-way street. And she's like, can you go look up the files for this professor and see if he was involved in any other police reports? And he's like, well, it's my day off, Rose, and I don't want to.
I thought he had to go into the office to do it. Evidently, he could just do it on his personal laptop.
Yeah, he was a little complaining considering he just got his laptop and sat on the sofa.
Yeah.
And so he looks it up and he's like, oh, yeah, he was involved in this other suicide that happened a week before.
A woman named Angela Powell
Okay.
had committed suicide in front of him.
And is that where they get they get a picture of her, and she, I don't know how she committed suicide. She fucking tore herself up.
Well, first the movie doesn't want you to see it,
Yes.
the viewer. But then all of a sudden she prints it out and it's carrying it around in a fucking manila folder.
Well, Rose is like, let me see it. And he's like, you don't want to see this. She's like, let me see it. Grabs his laptop and he's like, well, I guess she's got the evidence laptop now. What can I do as a cop? And I was like, dude, you can't just give this information out. These are ongoing investigations.
She's like, cross-reference Angela and see if she was involved in any weird hijinks.
Computer enhanced.
Yeah.
He's like, son of a gun. Looks like Angela saw a guy kill himself at a gas station. Here's a video.
Yes.
Let's watch the video.
Yeah, Rose was impatient. She's like, double click on that shit. He's like, it's loading.
He's like, chill the fuck out. It's got a buffer.
And then she says, rewind it. And he goes, what? And I was like, okay, that's the right response right there.
But the video is, this poor woman at a pump, and this man comes from off screen, and he walks up to a truck and takes out these fucking garden shears.
Yeah.
Or hedge trimmers, more likely.
Yeah.
They're pretty big.
They're huge.
And then he turns around and stands in front of the woman until she's clearly looking at him and just takes him and jabs him into his chest. And there's spurts of blood going up and down, and the man just crumples on the ground. And she's like, rewind that shit. Let me see that again. And then they pause
His
it.
facial response, I'm like, what? I was like, that's awesome.
They freeze frame it on the man's face when he's facing the security camera, and you can see he's got that weird, creepy smile,
Well,
too.
and that's when Joel says, like, is he smiling? Like, they're shocked. Like, I don't understand why people are so shocked about someone smiling before they kill themselves. Crazy people do crazy things.
Well,
Everyone acts like it's like completely improbable, though.
It's fairly uncommon.
Yes, and this
Okay,
is
maybe.
a very distinct smile. It's not like a smirk or it's like it's a Joker smile. This is like an ear to ear grin.
And she's like, you got a printer? Print that shit. She prints it up.
That's
and,
right, she does.
And then she bounces and she goes home, and it looks like Trevor, thinking he's doing the best thing he could possibly do, he's called the therapist.
Let's be honest, this probably is the best thing Trevor could do.
For him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for her, too.
He needs to patch up with his fiance before he's bringing in a third party.
Who's he going to call, Joel?
No, he's going to call his fiance.
Look, Trevor is still sitting at step 1. This
Yeah.
is step 6. There's some in-between
But
work.
Trevor hasn't seen anything to indicate that he needs to be at step 6. Now, don't get me wrong. Trevor's still a douchebag.
The thing is step 2 through 5 is what Trevor needs to be doing.
Yeah. Talking
what are
to
those
his...
It's Trevor work.
Talking-
Empathizing.
Well, he's obviously not going to do that. He's gone through those steps and he's chosen no.
Get Rose and put her on a plane and go to the fucking Bahamas for a week.
You're gonna
Get
take-
out of the
Maybe-
situation.
Maybe world travel is not the thing that a crazy person needs at that
I
moment.
think getting out of the house is exactly what she could use right about
So
now.
he should have checked her into Ramada Inn.
If he's with her.
This episode is sponsored by Ramada Inn.
Or at least a Holiday Inn Express. I mean,
Anywhere that doesn't have a continental breakfast.
Yeah.
That's where you need to go. Somewhere with a buffet, let me an omelet line, you know what I'm saying? That's where they need to go.
omelet line.
yes.
okay.
I like it.
So Rose, you know what? Mad props. That's it. She's had enough. She's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And actually, she's like, Trevor, what the fuck is she doing here? And then the therapist was like, well, and she's like, I am talking to my fiance. I was like, fucking get her, Rose.
I thought you were
Get
going to
her.
say my ex-fiance at that point, and I was like, damn!
They're just like, we're trying to help you. And she's like, make yourself at fucking home, all right? And she storms out. And I was like, get him, Rose, get him.
And she goes over to her sister's house.
And just crash and burns. Like, you're riding so high.
Again, though, maybe a professional is what she needs at this time. Someone who is willing to put the empathy and the understanding and the listening into the mix.
I honestly, at this point, Rose knows that her therapist is not going to listen to the words that she's saying. It's much like Laura when she was talking to Rose at the beginning.
But she didn't tell the therapist that she was dealing with that crazy shit. She just said, hey, I think I'm kind of seeing stuff. Can I have Risperdal? Like, so the therapist's mind went to like, this chick's trying to get drugs.
Yes. I mean, I don't think it would have
I'm
changed.
going to cut the therapist a little bit more slack than I think you guys are,
Oh.
just because, like,
No,
I'm telling you from Rose's perspective. I'm not saying that the therapist is necessarily doing anything wrong.
right. I don't think the therapist is the bad person here. Trevor's the asshole.
Yes, that's the crux of this
Yes.
argument here.
The therapist is just like a poor third party trying to help out. So she goes to her sister, and Greg, whatever. Greg answers the...
Old Greg.
Yeah, answers the door, and he's like, look, I don't think Holly wants to talk to you. You're like a fucking animal. Like, no, it'd be
Wait,
better...
an animal? He didn't
No, he didn't
say
say
that.
that.
Oh, I was
but
like-
he was like, it's better if you're just not around here. And she's like, Greg?
Talk to my sister.
Yeah. And I was like, get him. I'm just so proud of her right now. And then Holly comes and Greg's like, I'm handling this. She's like, get the fuck out of here, Greg. And he skedaddles and she gets out on the porch.
Go buy some crypto in the back or something, Greg.
He would be buying crypto.
He's a
for
crypto
sure.
bro.
He's got NFTs galore.
I like that word skedaddle lately.
Yeah, I'm leaning into it.
Okay.
So Holly comes out and Rose is like, Holly, my eyes are open. I figured it out. I have been cursed, or I've been wrapped up in a curse. I was like, okay, all right, Rose, that's an option. That's one way.
Do you guys believe curses are real?
No.
Yeah, no.
That's why I was trying to get John to buy that cursed cross on eBay the other day.
Okay.
Fair.
I don't believe in curses.
Oh, I won't buy haunted dolls, cursed items. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
That may not be real, but I'm not risking it.
Exactly. I need to poke the bear in the eye, man. Like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I believe it's not, but why
You
gamble?
poke a bear in the eye, you're getting cursed.
I own a Ouija board now. I'm ready to start getting those cursed
Was it a new
accoutrements.
Ouija board or was it like an old school used Ouija board?
It's like a 70s, 60s
Oh,
Ouija board.
shit,
That's when they were still cursing
GraveTalk
them.
Ouija time.
It's on.
Okay. I've done it before. It was a total waste of time.
Anyway, so Holly and Rose are basically having a quote unquote conversation where they're basically like trying not to kill each other.
Right. Holly's like, look, I would do anything for Jackson, my son, but you have traumatized him. Do you like how I snuck that in?
I was waiting for someone to make that joke this episode, and I was like, it ain't going to be me. I have to hold back.
Well done. And then Holly goes, this is exactly what happened to Mom. And that was the wrong road to go down.
But no, that was the right road. I would love to know that Mom was seeing crazy shit and also having delusions and seeing a monster, whatever, blah, 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 blah,
But I don't think she was.
No.
She wasn't.
And also, I don't think that
I
was
would have taken comfort finding that out, though.
I don't think that was the path this conversation needed to go, because that Rose was like, and how would you know? How the fuck would you know? You left. I was stuck watching this whole thing happen. And Holly was like, look, I was the oldest, okay? So of course I had to leave.
I was taking the brunt, yeah.
And I don't know that I believe that.
I believe her. I
No,
believe
Holly's
her.
a self-centered
Yes.
bitch.
I don't know. I feel like Holly ran because she had to, and I feel like Holly has resentment for doing that, basically, but knowing she had no choice.
I did not get any of that.
I'm backing Holly on that one, having to get out of there.
Holly is trash.
Yes.
I don't think good of Holly at all.
Anyway, so Rose was like, listen here, okay? You
Dried up coos.
pretty much.
Piece of shit. You tainted hussy. You listen to me. You are garbage. Your whole family's garbage. Your son's a piece of shit. Your husband's a piece of shit. I hope your whole family lineage burns.
Yeah, that's pretty much the dialogue. She's like, if you were on fire, I would not piss on you.
She basically just says you live a very like bubbly, plain,
Yeah.
sheltered lifestyle.
Well,
so
what
go
she
fuck
actually
yourself.
says is like, you are a self-centered bitch who thinks that you are the end-all, be-all, like, of the universe. And
I think
was like,
mine was
yes.
better, you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
But what I said is more accurate to what she
Closer,
actually says.
yeah. Garrett captured the vibe. You captured the dialogue.
Yeah. And then she's like, I didn't mean that. I was like, yes, you did, because
Yeah.
you got it right. That's exactly what she is.
She's like, I don't know why I said that. Like, I kind of do, Rose. So Holly's like, it'd be best if you left. And so Rose goes into her car. Then we
Starts getting on her phone. And then you see in the blurry background of the door open and you see Holly.
Front door of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
And Holly's coming back to the car, very speedily walking towards it, and then knocks on the car, startles Rose, and then Holly's head falls off. But it's still connected by the skin.
It's like a Stretch Armstrong head.
Yes.
Which that was in the trailer, and I was like, well, okay, whatever. That's like the most least effective thing in the movie,
Yeah.
I think. But it was fine.
And then Rose is freaking the fuck out in the car. Now, up from the window of the house, Andrew Jackson, God. Jackson.
That would be what they name him.
I was like,
President
probably.
Jackson looks on in disgust.
Jackson's looking down in the car, watching his aunt freak the fuck out and lose her mind, and he is looking worried. See, I thought this was her transferring the trauma to Jackson, and
Yeah.
I was like, and the cycle continues. But evidently,
Message.
yeah, part 2.
Or I would have liked to see Jackson like take some tea out of a cup and like just shake his head in disappointment.
Classy and just that would have been great.
Just see him close the blinds slowly.
That's why you're not invited here anymore, Rose.
He's like, we've lost another one.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. At this point, she's freaking out, and then we cut to
This is where she goes back to Joel, right? Who's like, look, I continued the research when you left.
He's
And-
like, why didn't you tell me about the connection to your patient?
Yeah.
I looked into this and there was 19 other suicides that
where
I
were they?
found.
Because it looked like they were in a parking garage or
Oh,
something like that.
because
Oh,
Rose-
she goes and eats that burger
Yes.
in the parking lot, and then she's
She's
like,
hungrily, sadly eating like a lame burger at a cafe.
She goes to
in her
town
car.
on that burger.
to be
though.
fair, she probably hasn't been eating.
Well,
Oh,
sure.
that's true. Yeah.
She's been
But you
freaking
see her,
out.
she's being worn down a
Yes.
lot. It's even more. She never once gets any rest.
I
of
get
any
it.
kind. And Joel calls, he's like, hey, what the hell? You didn't tell me about this. I found 19 other suicides, but one of the guys survived. She's like, wait. Who?
We found 20 cases and 19 suicides, and Rose grabs onto that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, one guy an accountant
Named Robert Talley.
killed somebody else, and guess what? He's in holding." And she's like, "We got to go see Mr. Towley."
But then his wife committed suicide, and she's like, wait a minute. That's when she kind of thinks like, okay, it jumped. Based off that information, we can all agree this thing's unstoppable, right? It can never be stopped.
Oh, I think
Except she has that idea where like, if I kill myself and no one's around to see it in any form or fashion, no one's there to be traumatized by my
Yes.
death, which I think is correct. Except she never actually tries it.
Well, this is the info gathering portion of the movie, right? She's trying to figure out what are my options really. So when she talks to the prisoner, Mr. Talley, he says, "Look, send the cop out. I'll tell you everything I know."
which I didn't really understand because he also says, I already confessed. So
Well, he confessed to killing the neighbor. He's accepted the fact that he's
Yes.
in trouble for killing the neighbor, but he's not going to talk about how he's fucking crazy.
Or he doesn't know that cop. He's not going to incriminate himself. He's like, you got to go kill somebody else.
if you already confessed, you're maximally incriminated.
Look, I don't know what that crime would be called.
He's being held for. He's not convicted. I think he's being held for his court date.
It's like fantasy murder. I don't know.
Fantasy-
He could still
murder.
get off. He could still get out of this.
But maybe he's good. But you know what? If the cop is there, he could plead insanity.
Look, we'll say that for Law and Order.
I know. You're
okay?
right. Anyway, he gets rid of Joel. Joel's like, all right, I'll be outside. And this is where he tells her, okay, here's what you need to. Well, she doesn't. She says, I have a patient who is going through what you're going through.
I love the way this played out in the movie.
And yes, they do so well. And I just need to know, what should I tell her, basically. And he's like, what you need to tell her is to go kill somebody in the most gruesome way possible in front of somebody else. This thing feeds off of trauma. You need to traumatize somebody, or she needs to kill somebody so that the trauma transfers.
And he just starts going on a tangent. He's like, murder somebody, 19 stabs, 32 fucking toes you chop off. And she's like, I'm not going to kill anybody. And she's like, oh shit, the ruse is up. He's like, it's you? He's like, you brought that shit in here? And he starts
Don't
freaking.
you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Don't you put that evil on me.
It's like,
He's like-
you're not bringing it back to me. And I was like, but you just said it doesn't work that way.
No.
Oh, does he
You don't
think-
fuck with it, though.
Look,
That's
he
true.
doesn't even want to be in the vicinity.
What if
Yeah.
she's there to kill herself in front of him and pass that trauma back to him? You don't know.
That's
you
fair.
don't know with trauma demons.
You're right. You know what? That's
Until
totally
the
fair.
studies come out, we got to play it safe, guys.
You're totally right. So, yes, okay. In retrospect, he's right. So he freaks out. They pull him away, and Rose is like, well, this is bad news.
In one of the most bizarre moments of the movie that I didn't quite understand Rose's thinking is she just chooses not to tell Joel anything.
Yes.
Any of this conversation that she just had, she just like leaves it out.
Yeah, why wouldn't you tell him about the part B?
Because her plan is to go kill
that's right.
Carl.
She's accepted it. Yeah, she's accepted the fact that she has to kill someone. So
I guess it was just so immediate after she screams, I'm not going to kill anybody, that she's already made the plan to go kill Carl.
Yeah, it is weird.
I thought that might mull over a little bit longer than just right outside in the prison parking lot.
The movie is weird. To be honest, the movie is weird with time. Because at one point she says, look, I'm on day 4, but it feels like it's been more than 4 days. Because the day night, I didn't go back and like count it up, but I'm sure it is accurate. But I can see where sometimes it feels like the movie's jumping.
actually, she
portions
hasn't
of time.
decided to kill anybody
No,
yet.
yeah, she's going to
She
go
goes
home. And that's where she's like biting her fingernails.
And you know what? This pissed me off. I have chewed my fingers to their bleeding way worse than she has, and she acts like her fucking life is over. She's like, "Oh no, I'm bleeding." I was like, "Bullshit." I was like, "Come at me when your gloves are filled."
Maybe this is new for her, new behavior.
Okay, that's true.
And you're right. This
I
is where
bite my nails and cuticles a lot, so I have no room to talk.
So she might not be. She's like, oh, I've never even bitten my nail before. This is what it tastes like, huh? So anyway,
you pre-trauma your hands.
yes. So as she's dealing with her barely injured nails, she sees
And the fact that she's gonna have to kill someone.
Yes, she's trying to digest all that. She sees the therapist come over through like her glass window. She's like, oh, fuck me.
Dr. Good and Plenty.
So
She puts away all of her printed death photos. I like that. She like scoops them up back into the Milano folder for you.
good thinking. Don't want the therapist to see those. And she goes to the door and she's like, hey, what's up? Long time no see. Now's not a good time.
It's been like a day.
Yeah. And the therapist is like, look, Rose, you know that I have to report if I think you're a danger to yourself or anybody else. And so just help me not have to do that. And Rose is like, oh, all right, checkmate. Come on in. Good thing I hid my death photos.
And they're having a whole little conversation of like, I think this is all related to the death of your mother. Maybe you need to come back and start seeing me on the reg.
And she's like, Trevor told me that you're seeing ghosts. And she's like, I didn't fucking say ghosts.
She's really hung up on that. She's like, I think it's a demon or I've been cursed. I was like, okay.
All I said was I was hallucinating some shit, and Trevor said ghosts.
Yeah, fucking Trevor, man.
And then the phone rings. She picks up the phone, and who do you think's on the other end?
Dr. Good and Plenty.
Bingo.
The candy. No, it's the doctor sitting right in front of her.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Dr. Goodenplenty. I called her
Yeah.
Dr. Goodenplenty earlier.
The least believable part of this movie is that Rose has a house phone.
A landline.
Yes. Like, this supposedly takes place in 2022.
Look, when you have a fancy house, you have backup phones.
Yeah, maybe. I
Okay.
don't know.
Just
Yeah.
for decoration, at least.
Spare cell phones, maybe.
So Dr. Northcutt
Is that her name? Northcutt. What a name.
is on the line. She's like, hey, Rose, I just didn't really like how we left things last time. And as this phone call is happening, she's looking at Doctor's face and it just starts to get all like, you're figuring it out, Rose. I'm not really the doctor.
And here comes the smile. And then,
She goes, almost time, Rose.
The voice does a weird demon voice
Yeah.
thing. It goes, it's almost time, Rose. It doesn't sound like anything we've heard before. And at this point, I was like, wait a minute. Are we going to really get to see a demon here? Like, are we going to get to see the curse in physical form? Because this is the first like manifestation of this thing that we've actually heard that has not been in the humanoid voice or form that it's basically quote unquote possessed or whatever.
One of the other things they've found out through their research is that everyone who is quote unquote cursed with the suicide only lasts between 4 and 7 days. So this is Rose's 4th day. Or she just,
fifth day.
it's the 5th day.
yeah.
So some real ring shit's going on here.
So the demonic doctor starts approaching Rose and she goes down the stairs and it manages to catch her and grab her by the face and it's all drooly gross.
Yeah. It's
And
like-
then,
like-
Think Alien.
yeah, I was going to say, it's like a scene
Yeah.
out of Aliens. It was weird.
and then it cuts to her in the car.
Yeah, how did she get
So
out of
Rose is
that?
just in the car now. So I'm assuming this is just, it's kind of fucking with her before it, follows through on the killing.
Oh, maybe Rose never even left the car.
I think she
Could
went
be.
home. I think she went home and I think she had that moment and she was like, okay, there's nothing to do now but go kill somebody.
I just don't.
Because she had the big knife from her kitchen in the car.
Yeah,
she
that's
took that knife
true.
from the kitchen. She didn't have that when she went to the police the prison. So she went home. This thing happened to her, and she was like, "Well, got to go to the hospital and kill somebody."
But after it like demon breathed on her, did it just back off and go, see you tomorrow,
Yeah, it just
Rose?
disappears. She
Tip to tat, ta-ta, see you tomorrow.
She probably did the thing where she woke up and reality was something different than what just
Okay.
happened, and she was like, "Okay, I can't live like this. Time to kill some motherfuckers."
So she's in the hospital parking lot in her car and she's got a knife from her butcher board slid into her sleeve and she sneaks back into the hospital and they're like, hey, Rose, what are you doing here? And she's like, just left something in my office. And goes straight to poor old Carl's room.
Carl, my man Carl has not done a single thing wrong. All he's just been
Well,
sleeping.
yeah, he did.
or
He trusted Rose.
Yeah.
Boom.
Sitting in his room, minding his own fucking business.
And as she enters Carl's room, he notices her presence immediately and turns. And he's like, oh, shit, here it is. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And she like comes at him with the knife. And then right as she's going to do the business, in walks her boss.
Like, Rose, what are you doing here? She's like,
No time to talk. Time to murder. Slash.
it's
and
stabbing
the
time.
fuck out of him. Yeah.
So many times.
But as she's stabbing Carl, like he starts smiling and they both start screaming at each other.
In unison, yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is weird.
Well, that's the moment I knew. I was like, this is fake.
And then Dr. Desai starts pulling his face off.
Rips his face skin off.
So good of a
I
scene.
want to take his face.
I was thinking about that scene in Poltergeist.
Oh, yeah, that is very much what it's like.
Yeah.
I was thinking face off. I could not stop thinking face off every time stuff with
He
faces.
doesn't literally pull his face off like that in the movie.
It's a laser instead.
Yeah,
It
that's
doesn't
lazy.
matter. I still would love to see this movie basically swap faces.
And then Rose wakes up and she's still in the car. And Dr. Desai is there and is like, Rose, what are you doing here? And she goes, I don't know.
She goes, nothing. Gotta go.
When he sees the knife, he's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Hey, don't move. Let's go in my office and talk." And she's like, "No, dog, I'm out of here."
Yeah. But she backs up, hits a car, and leaves. And then Joe calls her and he's like, I just saw an APB go out because you're dangerous. What's going on? And she's like, Joel, you're a good guy. I gotta go.
I gotta go. Here's another drone shot for you.
Yes.
She's like, "Look, I'm gonna go be by myself. It can't transfer if I don't see anybody else, and I'm just gonna hide away in a house and just until it's done."
I think
I thought
she's
she was
right.
gonna go kill herself. I thought she was gonna go kill herself.
I thought that
someplace.
too.
But again, though, where does she go? Earlier in the movie, there's a reference to Holly at the dinner table at the very beginning where they're like, we should sell the old property that mom's house is on. You know, it's just basically, it's a total teardown. Rose, I know you're going through a lot, but this was the dumbest fucking idea because if you are going to kill yourself, they're going to check that house. It's literally a location you have a connection to. Someone's going to find your body. Someone's going to find your suicided body.
I don't think that's the problem, though. They can find the body. They just can't see it when she's actively committing suicide.
I don't think they have to actively see it. I think like you finding a dead body can be traumatic.
Well, it said there has to be a witness.
Yeah.
That was part of the rules.
Okay.
It's like there must be a living witness so the curse can transfer.
Okay, so she goes to her old dead mom's house,
And
which
this
is a haunted fucking house at this point.
Which I will say on rewatch, this part of the movie, a little slow.
Yeah.
Because it really pans around that house. And then we get some more flashback scenes with her mother. And it's like, okay, right.
This is where we find out that she actually let her mom die. Like she had the opportunity to go get the phone and save her life, but she chose to let her mom die by not getting the phone and help her after she OD'd.
Yeah. She basically has a conversation with her dead mom. And we find this out. And she's like, look, I was scared. I was 10 and you were terrible.
You were a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then she runs to the garage and starts looking through the stuff in the garage. And there's a big can of kerosene. There's a box of matches. And I was like, well, thank God she's smart. She's going to burn this fucking house down. The place that is the location and the key to her trauma, she's going to excise this by burning it to the ground. And I was like, if this is what cures her of this fucking like demon monster, I'm going to be pissed because what a cop out. But no, she doesn't do that. She grabs a lantern and decides to stay in the haunted house overnight with just a candle-lit fucking light system.
But the lighting in this house with that lantern was fantastic.
Excellent.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful shots.
I was so scared of this house.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. Everything she was doing in there, I was like, you need to leave now.
So then the demon comes, and I don't remember exactly
I love the
how
pomp and circumstance you like gave to that one. And the demon comes.
Well, it's during the conversation that we just briefly mentioned. It turns,
Yes.
and her mother demon.
Okay,
'cause
that's
the
what it
demon
is.
is in the form of her mother. Turns into the giant thing from It Follows.
Yes.
Fuck that. Yeah, that. Oof. Marilyn Manson has never looked worse.
And basically the demon's like, look, you can't get away from me. I am in your head. I am you. There's nothing you can do.
She's like, get out of my mind. And she says, no, your mind is so inviting. And then she says, well, it's my mind too. And it's like, oh no, she's going to do that thing where she starts using her dream powers.
I was
Yes.
hoping so.
Well, the thing is, she
tries to,
control. She breaks the demon's arm because
Yeah.
she's like, well, if we're in my mind, I can make anything happen I want because it's my mind.
Right. So she snaps the arm while the demon's choking her out. And she picks up the lantern that is toppled over and the house is now starting to catch on fire. She throws the lantern and lights the demon on fire. And she's like, fuck you. And then runs out of the house.
And
Which this was rad looking.
Yeah.
Watching the demon burn in that room, I'm sorry, I'm still freaked out by that.
That demon burns for a good minute. The stunt person who did that effect, thumbs up. I assume you were actively on fire and it was impressive.
Now, this could have been the point where the movie could end. And this house burning down could be the symbolization of Rose letting go of her guilt,
Burning down the house.
of her mother's suicide. And this is where she's cleansed and can walk away. And if the movie had ended here, I would have given it a lot lower score.
Oh, I thought it was such a cop-out if that's what happened.
Yeah.
If she just had to heal her trauma and that's how you get rid of this thing, I was like, anybody could have done this like a million times earlier.
But in the theater, I sat back and I was like, okay, movie, how are you going to make this interesting from here? Because right now I'm like starting to feel the decline in my enjoyment of the film.
I cheated because when the demon caught on fire, I was so freaked out I had to pause the movie and turn on another lamp. And I saw that there was like 25 minutes left of the movie. I was like,
yeah.
we're not done yet. I was like, something else is going to happen here.
There's some long credits. So she goes to Joel. She drives away. She goes to Joel. And it's a very rom-com-esque scene where she's like, Joel, I'm sorry. I put up walls. I was terrible. I didn't really love anybody until you came in. And then I didn't know how to handle it because of all my trauma. And you deserved better. Da-da-da-da-da. And she really gives her heart to Joel and is like, I'm going to ask one more thing of you. Like, can you please can I stay here? And can you watch me while I sleep? And Joel's like,
Which sounds weird.
I know, right?
But it's more like, I just need to sleep with somebody here so I can feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I get.
Yeah. And Joel's like, yeah, of course I'll do that. I'm never going to leave you.
I'll be with you forever.
And the smile creeps on his face.
The moment he said that, I was like, I don't even wait for the smile. We're back.
So it's like, man, even the traumatic experience is with you forever. Is that what the movie's trying to say?
Yeah, it does send a weird message in that, like,
I was talking about this earlier. The messaging at the end of this movie gets really messy.
I mean, it basically is like, you can't deal with your trauma. It's always going to be
Yeah,
with you.
like tough. You're gonna have to learn to live with.
Yeah,
this.
and even if you think you've gotten past it, no, it's still there.
Which honestly is sort of true. You only ever deal with trauma. You never. I don't know if you can ever fully get rid of it because it's who you are. It makes you. The shit you go through as a person and your experiences make you who you are. Now you can find ways to deal with that, and like I think the movie's like right in that aspect. You can't ever truly get rid of your trauma.
So what it should have ended with is Rose just living, like, every once in a while, she's like, "What's up, demon?" And the demon's just sort of following her around.
If she had trapped it in that house and been like, okay, fine. If you've got to be here forever, if I've got to be with you forever, then you've got to be here with me forever, and I'm locking you up. Like I'm going to keep you in check.
Or Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon in The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
A lot of options. Instead, what this movie goes with is trauma's gonna win. So
Is this where
Well, as Joel starts smiling creepily, she's like, oh fuck, and she like backs out of the apartment. Boom, she's out in the field, out in the house.
Yeah.
I was like,
haunted house,
I was
yeah.
like, beautiful movie. This is what I was hoping you were going for. I'm back in.
that was a great transition though. Like
Yes.
that really fucked me up. I was like, oh shit, girl.
Again, the viewer doesn't have time to really get his feet under him because this stuff just keeps changing. You're like, is this hallucination? Is this real? You don't know. We're back at the house.
Joe pulls up and he's like, Rose, what are you doing out here? And she's like, fuck that dude, and runs back in the house.
Like you said, Garrett, like he found the connections. Like she might be at the abandoned house.
Yes.
And that's where she is.
because she's like, I'm going someplace where no one's gonna blah blah blah, and it's just like, okay.
And she's like, no, you don't. And locks herself in the house. And Joel's outside, like banging on the doors, like, Rose, let me in.
Let me in. Yeah.
And then finally, we get to see what the trauma monster is.
it's incredible.
I think it was so fucking cool because one of the things that if I was going to be a little critical of the movie is that I wish maybe they would have shown this monster a little more. Like the scenes where it's doing the It Follows giant mother through the house, I would have liked to maybe have had this actual version of the monster chasing her a little bit more. Not too much more because it is really effective.
I'm gonna change that up a little bit because I didn't want to see the giant monster till the end. I think the oversized lady monster at the end was super effective at the end. What I have liked to have seen is once we see that it's because Rose is back in the house and the monsters are like, you can't get rid of me.
Still in mother form.
Yes, almost rips its skin off at this point. Now we basically see it. It's like, muscle and pus, like just its entire body is like fleshless, and its face, its mouth is like, its lower jaw is like pulled down, elongated. It's like this huge gaping maw that it's like staring
It has
at.
a bunch of other mouths
got
in
like
it.
Multiple like sets of teeth all the way back into the throat. Now, I would have liked to have seen, to what you're saying, Mark, maybe some of the characters through the episode open their mouth after they smile and they have multiple sets of teeth in their mouth. Or, maybe give us hints of what the monster might look like.
Okay.
But without actually showing the giant creature, because I think that giant creature reveal at the end was very impactful. And if we had seen a giant creature before, we'd be like, oh, it's back at the end, instead of being like, what the fuck is this? But
So-
if we had seen characteristics of that monster and the humans or the forms that it was taking, I think that would have been a nice little kind of like tease and nod to it.
Visual foreshadowing.
Yes, exactly.
I can see that. I can agree with that too.
I liked it exactly how it
Hollywood,
was.
get the fuck at me.
So the monster's now pulling Rose's mouth open, and to the point where the
Incredible.
skin on her cheek is cutting open and tearing, and the monster is forcing its way inside of her mouth.
Yeah.
Like that cat in Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it crawls into her, and that's it. Rose is no more.
This pissed me off. This is the end of the movie. Like, it already lived inside of her. What did it need to crawl in her mouth for?
Well, I think that is symbolizing that it won. It totally took over her, which I think if we go all the way back to the first person we saw when she was convulsing, I think it was battling. Was it Laura? I think Laura was fighting with the demon who was also crawling. And I think that's how it cements the control. And
Yes.
So it's going to basically now be Rose, and she's going to walk outside and kill herself in front of Joel.
Well, what happens is Joel finally breaks through the door, goes inside, and he can't seem to find Rose, but you hear the kerosene can emptying itself
God,
in
I
the
forgot about
corner.
this part. Yeah,
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
turns and looks, and Rose is now dumping all of the kerosene on top of her body, and she slowly turns around, and she's holding a box of matches, and she's got the death smile on her face. She opens the box, lights the match, holds it up to her face, and then lights herself on fire, but you don't get to see it in full screen. It's The frame is
you see Joel's face, and you see like the reflection of the fire like lighting off of his.
The frame is pulled right up to his pupils, and you can see her on fire in his eyes in movie.
Lollipop, lollipop.
Okay, I fucking hated that. Like, I get the whole, like, play a happy song at the end of a traumatic thing, and the juxtaposition is kind of, like, that's played out.
Dude, there's so many songs about smiling and being happy that they could have picked that a song about lollipops. I mean, it just felt, I don't know, I thought it was stupid, but
it was a weak song to end it on, for sure. But I really enjoyed this movie.
Same.
I think it ended perfectly. Nobody won. To our knowledge, this is still going to continue down the line with Joel. They really could do a smile too if they wanted to follow Joel's descent into suicide.
If they're smart, they will never touch this premise again.
It might be interesting, though, because Joel has a leg up because he already knows all the research that Rose did.
It doesn't matter. We've already seen it doesn't matter.
I mean, they're definitely going to make a smile, too. If they made $250 million off of 17, hell yeah.
That's the new property to mine, baby.
Yeah, big time.
I don't know. I feel like this is one of those, like, one and done, keep it as a, like, standalone kind of thing. Because, again, there's parts of this, like, the whole third act of this movie I really enjoyed. Like, the moment she goes to the prison, like, from that point on, I loved this movie. But there's, like, so much in the, like, second act that I was just like, God damn, let's go.
But you're thinking at it from like a creative perspective,
not from an enterprise perspective.
Okay. Right. If you make
late stage capitalism is the demon,
like
folks.
20 times your investment back, you're going back to the well.
Why not just retire at that point, yo?
Well, I mean,
look, they gave "Don't Breathe" a sequel.
Yeah.
That didn't need a fucking sequel.
That. Yeah,
So.
Dude, people in Paramount are right now writing the sequel as we speak. They got
what other facial things
Parker,
can we basically cash in on?
Yeah. Parker
Blink.
Posey or whatever got a phone call ASAP.
It was Parker Lynn, wasn't it?
Maybe he got a call right away. I was like, "Get working on 2." You know,
Parker Finn.
Parker Finn.
Parker Finn. It's one of those things where I mean, I kind of hope he stays involved because ultimately they're going to do it with or without him. So,
but I'm in the same ball court area.
Ball court
area with you,
I'm in the
Garrett.
same ball sack as Garrett.
I agree with you, Garrett. I don't think this should have a sequel. It's a good standalone. I don't want that, but it doesn't mean that's not going to happen.
It's better to just leave it how it is, but they're going to milk this shit dry. Anyway.
4 out of 5 stars from me.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It was really good.
So when I rated this on Letterboxd right after I watched it, I gave it 4 out of 5. But then when I was in the shower today, I was like, you know what? This is more of a 3.5. Too many. The reason is too many jump scares. I mean, the first half of the movie, it is just so jump scary.
If this movie was an hour and a half, and I mean, I'm not one to really like criticize that too much. We do talk about movies being too long, but like honestly, the premise is sort of weak, but like the concept is like really nice. The effectiveness of the visuals, the soundtrack, everything that went into making this movie, fucking, as John would say, aces. You know, it's really good. It's just there's so much downtime between some of these moments, and they have to keep putting in pointless jump scares to kind of keep you engaged. Cut back on some of that. And honestly, I thought it would have been a tighter film. I would say 3 stars for me, just because I would recommend it, but I'd recommend it as a
Well, I wanted to bring this up as we wrap up, that this movie is, like I said, it if you've seen It Follows, you've seen this movie. If you've seen The Ring, you've seen this movie. What do we think about a movie taking a premise that is so pretty well established at this point and just doing it again?
I think this movie did it right. They added enough different features and concepts to it to make it engaging again. Because again, I mean, Westerns are a great example of that. Same fucking story for almost half of them. But if you can give us a Django, you know, where he's dragging the coffin, you know, you can give us a, you know, the Silent Stranger with Clint Eastwood. If you can tweak it and make it your own feel and experience, even though it's the same concept and the same story, I think that's completely fine. But you have to have something engaging enough to do that. Now, I don't think the smile was it. I think the concept of this never-ending trauma was more it. And I think they did a really good job. I just think that they had a visual kind of feel that they went when they went too heavy on that.
I think it was fine. I mean, there's only there's that theory is only like 7 stories, right? So I mean, if people are gonna redo the same premise over and over again. It Follows didn't invent the idea of like a poltergeist following you. It's fine. I mean, I think they did a great job.
Hollywood hadn't gotten at us yet. There's more than 7 stories.
I'm much less critical of this movie than Garrett is. I think it was a great movie. So
I say critical, but let me
You guys
preface
are only
that.
a half star apart, by the
It's
way.
an important star, though. Half
Let me
star.
preface this. I'm critical only in the fact that there is a quality meal here, and you put a little bit too much garnish on it for me. Like, that's it. Like, the meal is substantial and it's fucking rad. It's just I don't need this much parsley on top of my fucking steak, bro. Like, that's kind of where this difference comes in. And because again, I liked this movie and I also hated this movie.
But
you know,
I think this is from my critique as well, is that what I think this movie did is it did a great job of taking a high concept like It Follows and turning it into a very enjoyable mainstream horror movie. It's why it made $250 million, right? And like at the end of the day, this is a business and you have to, I think that's probably why they have 50,000 fucking jump scares in it too, right? Like they know what sells and that's the balance, I guess you got to find.
There's a rule in Hollywood horror that basically you're supposed to have a jump scare every 10 minutes or something like that in your script. And the thing is again, if you just cut a little bit out of this movie, you could have just toned back on some of the stuff that felt redundant.
But none of it felt, I guess maybe the bit with the mom maybe, but like I couldn't find 10 minutes
where
to
like
cut.
it pins her against the wall. We didn't need that. There's another way you could have indicated that, you know, you could have had Joel basically do the voice or something.
That was a great scene. That was like a very scary scene.
I didn't have any issues with the jump scares at all. Like they didn't even bother me. Like it didn't register as like, oh, how dare you movie. But in terms of this one doing what It Follows did is that it doesn't completely ape it into like you're literally just copying this movie,
Right.
but you can see its inspirations. You can see it clearly, but it kind of made this kind of idea its own. But I think you should watch
Yes,
this.
I
I
think
would
you should.
recommend this over It Follows personally.
Agreed. I think this is much better, even though it didn't come first. And sometimes that's okay. You know how
Like
Apple...
the GraveTalk, we always start with the second one first.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then Apple it always takes existing ideas and makes it their own.
Yeah,
you know,
just
so-
polish, you know? And I don't know, man. My opinion on It Follows has evolved over the years.
Wait, are you back down?
No, I'm a fan. That's why I'm back. I'm up. I still might like It Follows more than this one. I'd have to go rewatch It Follows. Here's what I will say. This movie is more enjoyable. It's more like of a popcorn movie than It Follows for sure. Like there are stretches of It Follows where it's just like, oh my God. So you know what? Maybe this movie is better than It
Just
Follows.
say it. Just say it. Let me hear you say it.
All right.
Accept it, John.
All right. It's better, but it just squeaks by.
All right.
That's all it takes.
That's all I wanted to hear. You admitted it. Well, anything else on Smile before we wrap?
No, I think that's it, man.
Turn that frown upside down.
Boom.
Well, Garrett,
How long have we been waiting to say that one? This whole
the
episode?
whole episode.
Okay.
Well, Garrett, what are we doing next time?
Holiday episode. Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's our 5th holiday episode. We're finally doing, I guess, the classic Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are all the nights that I eat lactose.
I have never seen this movie. I have.
Watch out. John had some Gouda. It's deadly up in here.
I've never seen this movie. I've seen part 2. So I'm hoping this one delivers because it's been built up by everyone to me. So
I've never seen it either, so we're going in blind.
I'm hoping it's decent.
Maybe someday we'll do Silent Night, Deadly Night 5 that has Mickey Rooney in it as a guy who makes...
Mickey Rooney or Mickey Rourke?
Mickey Rooney.
Whoa.
Who makes demonic toys.
Get out of my dreams and get into my car. That is amazing.
It's called The Toy Maker.
Are any of them called Silenter, Deadlier Night?
No,
They're missing out.
they're not that cool ever.
I guess 6.
All right, we'll get that one watched. Listeners, thank you for joining us. We've got an Instagram, a Facebook, and a Twitter page. And we're also on Hive. We'll see if that goes anywhere.
Yeah.
You can find all the things we're up to at thegravetalk.com. Hit us with any comments, any recommendations, any cold open ideas. We love hearing from you guys. And we thank you again for joining us on our 5th anniversary episode. Until next time.